Welcome to Magny-Cours for the fourth of 5 double-header sprint rounds that form half of the GT World Challenge Europe, powered by AWS. This former Grand Prix circuit in the very centre of France offers a brilliant place to go racing, and the big question is whether the record of having a different winner every race can be maintained. There is much to play for, and every adjustment that can find even a fraction of a second might count, as the title battle is almost too tight to call, with the top 3 crews covered by just 1 point. There is also plenty to play for across the other 3 classes. GT World Challenge America has also been having a wonderful summer of action, and last time out at the Virginia International Raceway, victory went to the RS1 Porsche crew of Alex Sedgwick and Jan Halen, who got to celebrate in style on the podium. There was some great racing down under too, as GT World Challenge Australia enjoyed 2 races at Sandown, and there was a fierce battle at the front as Elliott Schutter was kept busy by Brad Schumacher and Liam Talbot. Mark Rosser had a spin and brought out the safety car. In the second half of the race, Jackson Evans put on a charge and regained the lead in the Arise Racing Ferrari, before going on to win by just 0.3 of a second from the Audis of Ryan Wood and Brock Feeney, to the clear delight of teammate Schutter. After a moment of tribute to Tim Miles on the grid, race 2 got underway, and it didn't start well for the number 77 Arise Racing Ferrari, spinning out of the lead. Then, after several safety car periods on a wet track, it came down to the final lap, and Jamie Day scrapped hard with Schumacher's Audi before coming through to win and share a hard-fought victory with Liam Talbot in their Volante Rosso Aston Martin. Well, welcome to the first of 2 races here at Magny-Cours for the GT World Challenge Europe, powered by AWS. The light is fading. It's an evening into night race, and we had a real throw around qualifying. But let's take a look at the manufacturer's global points. So Mercedes leading by just 29 points from BMW. Porsche an absolutely equal in second place with BMW. Ferrari a little further back. Audi down in 5th place. But it's Lamborghini that will be starting this first race here at Magny-Cours from pole position. We had some highs and lows, and certainly for a while we thought we had Kessel Racing Ferrari on pole. But it's a really, really tricky circuit. Let's take a ride with the 111 McLaren. Joe, take us around.
Yeah, it's a beautiful circuit here at Magny-Cours. This is the final chicane as you start the lap. T17 exit. We'll be careful of track limits as we get this great view from Jim Pla. This guy will be starting 4th, actually on the outside where we are now, into turn 1, nearly flat, 220 kilometers an hour apex speed as we now sweep through into Estoril. Down to 3rd gear, 140 k's. You can see traffic in front. The Audi going to run wide. We're going to now try and get the run down this long back straight, slight kink, easy flat, all the way up to 260 kilometers an hour in the slipstream through this flat out kink. We then got to find our braking point around the 150 meter board. You can see the boards on the left. Next one here, hard on the brakes, all the way down to 1st gear, the slowest corner of the year for GT World Challenge, just 45 kilometers an hour. 1st gear, listen to the V8 twin turbo McLaren sing through the gears. Now the first tricky chicane of the lap at Nürburgring, T7 into 8. Lots of curb on the right, but there's a sausage protecting it. Track limits will be hot here, and then an overtaking spot into 9. Expect contact, as there's a plethora of lines you can use, and you can see Jim Pla goes in deep for a late apex. That will allow us a good exit onto this shorter back straight into another tricky chicane, this time the Imola chicane. Again, track limits will be hot on the left-hand part of this corner. Big sausage curb again to avoid, smash all the curb on the left. And then a tricky braking zone at turn 14. We saw contact here last year between the leaders. The gravel trap as well can be very luring. Final straight coming up into turn 15. Really got to set the car up here. A few bumps under braking makes the ABS trigger, and sometimes you can miss an apex and lose a position or 2. And then this tricky final chicane. Cars will use lots of curb on the right and the left. Cars gets bounced along, and that was 4.4 kilometers, 17 corners of this Magny-Cours circuit.
Well, gone in the blink of an eye. Jim Pla doing a fantastic job, as you said there, Joe. 4th on the grid, but it's a Lamborghini on pole position. And it is Franz Engstler who got the job done, and that makes him the 7th pole starter from 7 different races here, which is just not here, across the course of the championship so far this year. And it's the Grasser Racing team's first pole since 2019 at the Nürburgring, with young, who was then, Mirko Bortolotti at the helm. So it's great to have these names coming back to the top. The grid packed, 40 cars, the light fading, temperatures held steady at just under 21 degrees pretty much all day, and track temperatures hardly moved a degree up or down. So the drivers know what they're heading out onto. 1 hour of racing ahead.
Exactly that. Sunset in just under an hour's time, so it will be getting darker and darker. The car's running their endurance lights, so extra lights in the front bumper, so expect them to be very bright towards the end of the race.
Well, let's nip down to the grid, because Alex has got Stefan Ortelli, garlanded and Le Mans winner.
Stefan, you have raced at so many legendary circuits and had the most incredible career. So tell me, what is it that makes a circuit like Magny-Cours so special? And also, why is it so challenging for our drivers?
Actually, it's the level of technical corners. For me, it's a very demanding track in terms of rhythm as well. You know, you need to get the flow. It's not always like that. You know, there is some corners, they look easy, but they are complex. And for me, it's one of my favorite circuits here in France, and also in the championship to have the chance to come here. We started with SRO in 2011, if I remember well. And for me, it's the pack races as well, which is making the excitement of the circuit. There is fast corners with a lot of G-force on lateral, heavy braking like Adelaide hairpin. All together, the chicanes makes the circuit fantastic. And I can also say that when you look at the lap times, they are all together. Means it's very tight. It will be an exciting race.
You have seen the GTs evolve over time, and I wonder what you think about this sprint pack that we have, 44 cars. We've got the most incredible level of drivers here. How has that evolved in your opinion, and what do you think of this league?
I'm here as a coach for Louis Pret, and of course the love of motorsport and the love of the GTs. At my age, we normally say it was better before. You remember? We always said that. I can tell you it's definitely better now. It's so exciting. The level of competition is so high. For me, that makes this event in sprint even more special, because it is definitely harder and more spectacular nowadays in this championship with 30 cars in a second, you know. It was nice when I was racing there, but it's definitely harder now, and makes everything more special and spectacular for me.
Thank you for joining us.
You're welcome.
Well done, Alex, for catching up with Stefan Ortelli. Been there, seen it, done it. Le Mans winner all the way back in 1998 as a very fresh-faced young French racer. But it's his history in GT racing that really makes his opinion so super valid, Joe.
Yeah, exactly. You see Luca Renzler here, our pole sitter in the 63 Lamborghini. The balanced performance, always evolving to keep these cars tight, giving us 7 different pole sitters, like you said, Bruce. And the Lamborghini has been given 15 kilos more than it had in qualifying earlier. So expect a slight change there. The Ferrari as well, 5 kilos heavier. And they're the adjustments you can see. And that's how we get all 9 manufacturers represented here at Magny-Cours. So close. It was over 20 cars within a second in qualifying.
Yeah, it was quite astonishing. I just had a quick look, and Luca Renzler wasn't even born when Stefan Ortelli won Le Mans. So, but much has changed, and it was great to hear from Stefan. But the cars look fantastic. Some brilliant drone footage looking down at the 20 rows of cars, and they only just about fit in before the exit of the final corner. But for all the drivers, they'll be looking ahead to that first corner. But let's go back down to the grid, and let's go down. Jaroslav Honchik, driver coach, and he's going to tell us what he's passed on to his driver.
Jaroslav, thank you so much for joining us here on this amazing GT grid. So you, sir, have gone from the virtual world to the Clio Cup. How tricky was that transition?
Oh, very tricky. Like, the sim racing helped very much. For me, actually, it's very funny because the race for me is the easier part than actual driving the qualification and the practice. But it's been fantastic. It's been like being thrown against the sharks.
I can tell that you're very enthusiastic about it. Tell me about, what is the adrenaline like? How does it compare when you're behind the wheel in a sim car or behind the wheel here, for example, at Magny-Cours?
It's unreal. I feel like you drive and you have like almost a tunnel vision when you drive. I was checking my heart rate, it was around 160 during the 20-minute race, so it's pretty hard, but it's great because you feel so enthusiastic and the adrenaline is literally firing you forward, and then you stop the race and you suddenly start breathing and realizing what just happened, you know.
And it sounds like you're having a good season. Thank you so much for talking to us, Jaroslav.
Well, great to hear all that enthusiasm, Joe. Right, a little bit of bit of wind above the grid. But one thing I noticed looking down the grid, we've talked about the Lamborghini on pole position. Now we're looking at the Porsche from Rutronic Racing, car 96. Patrick Niederhauser will start that. We've got 4 different manufacturers of the 9 in the top 4 positions. You can't ask for more than that.
No, really tight, isn't it? Less than 2/10 covering those 4 as well. As we see Rutronic, who have been very strong in the pit stops, getting their race selfie there. Niederhaus and Sven Muller alongside him, and it'll be Niederhaus starting that. He's been very aggressive, as has Sven Muller. Rarely has that 96 car had the front bumper the same livery as it started this season.
No, well, I mean, that's indicative of just how close it is, just how many cars we have as well. You know, 40 cars coming out to play, and certainly around the time of the pit stops, we could have them really mixed up together. So Jordan Pepper is a driver who is right at the sharp end. He won't be starting, his teammate will, because their car's on pole.
Jordan, you boys have inherited the pole position. You showed that you were back on true form, not only in Spa, but also in Misano. So here you are, back in the thick of the title fight. But how tricky is it going to be to convert a pole here at Magny-Cours?
Look, at least Luca's got the hard job at the start. He's got to hand me the car, hopefully over in the lead. But yeah, he did an incredible job now in quali, obviously. And yeah, Misano just was not our weekend for sure, but it's good to be back where we belong. And yeah, just thanks to the guys, thanks to Luca. I've had a chill day. Played paddle in the morning, and first time I'm in the car is 9:15 in the evening. So it's a bit crazy, the schedule, but yeah, happy to get racing.
Luca, the sun is setting. What sort of a challenge does that throw into the mix as a driver? I guess everything changes in terms of track degradation and braking points, right?
Yeah, I think Jordan has the harder work today because I'm starting now in good condition, and then, like you said, the first time he's doing anything is then 9 o'clock, so it's super dark there, so brake reference will be difficult for the first laps, but yeah, he's a pro and knows what to do.
Good. Vamos, boys.
Well, exactly so. The Grasser Racing Team combo at the front. Luca Engstler, Jordan Pepper, not winners yet. They're 6th in the championship. They've had a 2nd and a 3rd, but he talked about poor form at Misano, a 9th place and 11th. That wasn't what the doctor ordered for the Rutronic Porsche crew.
No, it hasn't been. They've been quick in the pits, but haven't had the out-and-out pace at times. And this car we're looking at now, Alessio Rivera, when we finished qualifying, was last. Didn't have a single lap time due to track limit issues. They went to the stewards and they showed their video evidence to prove they were at least innocent on one of them, and that is why they're lining up 3rd place.
Yeah, so they fell to the bottom and brought back towards the very sharp end of the grid, and going in the opposite direction was Dennis Marshall and Dustin Blattner. Dennis had set what we thought was pole position lap, outright fastest time of the lot, but unfortunately transgressions on consecutive laps at turn 1 did for him, ended up without a time. He'll be starting at the very, very back of the grid. Now, let's go back down to the grid because one of the French GT stars of the day is down on the grid with us. He's also a rally champion, but he's taking a quick look at what's going on.
Nicola, you have really quite a number of accolades already to your name for such a young driver. You're also flying the flag for the SRO GT Academy. Can you tell me a little bit more about what that initiative is and why it's so important for a young driver like you to be in it?
Actually, the goal is to make the step to GT World Challenge here with the GT3 cars, sorry. So for sure, you know, motorsport is quite expensive nowadays. So it's the best way for us, I guess, for all of us to try to reach this level. So we all try to win the Academy this year to be right here on the grid next year.
So the GT3 is the ultimate goal, even though you've had such incredible experience in rallying as well. It's quite a different challenge.
Yeah, for sure, it's quite different. This championship is the highest level of GT racing, so for sure, if you can get here on the grid, it would be fantastic. But there is a very high level of competition, and it's not easy. But yeah, if one day I can be there, definitely I will be happy.
Nicola, one day I look forward to interviewing you on the grid. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So there's a name to look out for, Nicola Chirmin, clearly a coming driver. And Joe, it's always good to see people being given a bit of a leg up because we talk about this off air. Motor racing is no longer a cheap sport. It never was, but it seems to have gone stratospheric.
Yeah, and the talent struggling to get through, and that's why initiatives like that one's so important. I was fortunate myself that SRO launched GT4 when I was coming through the ranks, and that gave me the springboard to become a professional driver in this GT3 series. So SRO always innovating the way to make sure that talent gets on the grid like it deserves to.
Now, of course, this GT series came here for the first time in 2011, and how things have changed, the level of professionalism, the level of presentation. But one crew that's almost always at the front, last year's outright champions, Lucas Auer and Mauro Engel. We're having a quick chat with Mauro over supper, but you know, he's a wise head to talk to GT racing about. But you know what? Cream does rise to the top, and it's not mysterious that they're at the top almost the whole time, but it's super, super tight. We're dealing tenths of a second, aren't we?
We really are. Lucas out here, his teammate getting ready. He's won here once. Engel, who we made his pasta go cold talking to us, winning 3 times here at Magny-Cours. So out those 9 races, they've won 4 of them between them. So they will be very strong. The other thing that is strong here is a Mercedes, which they're also in, has won 4 of the 9 races here. So expect that yellow man filter Winward Mercedes on your right of shot there to be racing towards the front over the hour.
Well, starting 6th on the grid, it's certainly towards the front end. They'll be wanting to be right on the front. Now, one of the tip-top drivers is Patrick Niederhauser. He is starting from 2nd place. He's just got enough time before the start to talk to Alex.
Patrick, you're now starting from the front row on the grid, and this is the title fight. This race could change everything.
Sorry, I didn't get the question. Can you repeat the question?
You're now starting on the front row. You're in the title battle in a very big way. This race could change everything.
Yeah, this race is going to be super important, of course. We try to score big points, and obviously we try to win this race. Yeah.
Hop in, have a good race.
Good to hear. It's very good of Patrick, you know, in the absolute countdown. He's 4th in the championship. But just go through those points. We've got Kelvin van der Linde and Charles Weerts on 53 points, leading the sprint series. Lucas Auer and Mauro Engel, just heard from... saw them down on the grid there, just 1 point behind, as are Benji Goethe and Marvin Kirchhoff, who won the 2nd of the races at Misano last weekend. Super, super tight. 16.5 points for victory, 12 for 2nd place. So get that win and you could really vault up the table. But seeing the down in 10th place is not where you normally expect to see Charles Weerts after all the success. But again, sharing with Kelvin van der Linde, it's about having a really, really strong driver like a pairing, isn't it, Joe? So we do expect their team WRT, BMW, to come forward, but they would like to have been at least a couple of rows further forward.
Yeah, the BMW not looking particularly strong here. They're the real outlier, aren't they? They're 12 places ahead of the next BMW from WRT of Jens Klindman. But that car always strong in a straight line, so expect that to be able to race well at the end of the straights into those 2 hairpins at turn 5, 8, maybe even 13. I think the BMW can make some time up. As you can see, the light really starting to fade quickly, and that's something the drivers need to go into. It's always easier starting in the daylight, going in through dusk, but the second driver won't be given that advantage.
We're looking at Aston Martin. We haven't actually talked about them so far. That's the 2nd one of those on the grid. That's Raphael Suzuki. Kobe Powell's, though, has got the best place of the Aston Martins. Come to you racing car number 21, but good to have Raphael back. You know, one moment you're racing GTs, the next minute you're back in Brazil racing stock cars. So it's a busy, busy life for him. But yeah. Garage 59, you sort of quite favoured McLarens for this weekend. You said before you think they're quite well suited to this circuit.
Yeah, they were very strong at Misano, winning the last race. First time they'd won in 9 years, but didn't really go for qualifying for them. But Garage 59 seemed happy after it. 1 minute board engine will be fired up. That Aston Martin of Raphael Suzuki, obviously our bronze class pole sitter as well. So 4 classes there, overall the pole one, but they're actually all quite close. So it's going to be interesting. And there is that 270 car of Raphael Suzuki. Yeah,
11th overall in silver class. It's 5th overall. Marcus Siebert, expert job from him. And top in gold is Chris Lullum. And then top overall, the pro class, it's the driver on the far left. It's Luca Engstler, 2nd generation racer. And what a wise head he's got supporting him in Jordan Pepper. But Luca is going faster and faster. Is this the moment that Lamborghini get to strike? 6 races, 6 different winners. We've got 2 races here this weekend. 1 tonight, and then tomorrow. You do come and join us again. Our programme will start at 2:30 and the racing at 3:05 for the 2nd instalment. But the light is falling, but the absolute ambition and the heart rate is beginning to rise. We've got the formation lap, then 1 hour of race with a mandatory pit stop between 25 minutes into the race and 35 minutes. It's a 10-minute window, but actually we'll let you know later it's 2 5-minute windows. So we will explain that as we go through, but right now it's all concentrating. Track conditions very similar to how they've been pretty much throughout today. Dry, warmish, not hot, not cold, but the track condition is only going to change because the light will fall, but I don't think we're going to have a huge drop-off in terms of temperature.
No, and it's hard as a Brit not to talk about weather, but the weather's unremarkable.
Unremarkable, good, right. Pole for Lamborghini, and it's Luca Engster alongside the Porsche of Patrick Niederhauser. Row 3, 11-2, Alessio Rivera and Jim Pla, Ferrari and McLaren. Then Marcus Siebert, top silver qualifying. Lucas Auer, right at the sharp end of the field. Lucas Stoltz starts 7th, and Kobe Powell's 8th in his Come To You Aston Martin. And then along Chris Lullum, gold pole sitter, and Charles Weerts, ultimate winner here. So many successes. Raphael Suzuki, bronze pole starter in his Aston Martin. And Tom Fleming, look for the young Brit in his McLaren. Behind, Bastian Boos, always worth a watch in the Lion Speed Porsche. And Thomas Neubauer looking for a good result on home ground. Constable Apolainen, he'll hand over to Ben Green. And Eddie Cheever going very well in the bronze class. In behind him, going back to Paul Everard, a winner here before. And Benji Goethe, 18th on the grid, but a winner last time out at Misano. Arthur Rougier, he'd like to do well home in France. And Marvin Dienst, taking over from Gabriela Piana this weekend, starts 20th. Matteo Villagomez against Leonardo Moncini on row number 11. Row 12, we go to Luke Hartog. Also look out for him. He's in the second Brutronic Porsche. And Jens Klingmann, the Almanar BMW. Then Ricardo Feller, the Swiss racer, a young Hugo Cook alongside, 25th and 26th. Jake Dennis, that surely is an anomaly. Expect progress from him in the 991 BMW. Aurelian Panis alongside. Then Dylan Pereira, Mathieu Detry, good to see Unex Racing back with us. Ezekiel Perez Compact, so much success over the years. And Maxime Houston, the young Dutchman, 32nd. Gustav Bergstrom and Loris Spinelli, he was blocked in qualifying. He will advance in the Imperiale Lamborghini. Then Roman Andriolo in the 1 Ford in the race. Ivan Klimenko alongside. Now getting to the penultimate row. Ivan Akelchik and Bijoy Garg. And at the back, Hanims Al-Madhid, and the driver who thought he got pole, but his Kessel racing car had all its times taken away. Look out for the driver who was quickest, but got no time on the board, Dennis Marshall. 1 hour of racing, 40 cars. Impossible to guess who's going to win this one, but it's all eyes on the start. And just remember, you've got that wonderful sweep through the Grand Curb, a little kink, and then you get into that long right-hander at Esteron. It's a brilliant start to the race here.
Really is. Now the cars have to line up coming out of 13. You could see Rivera still frantically working the tyres, 1.5 bar of pressure, and you know how much I love looking at that, so that's why they're really trying to work it hard, get them up to 1.7, 1.8 bar. These cars are going to be 10-15% down on overall mechanical grip on the first few laps, so watch out for some big drifts from these cars. Jake Dennis, like you said, out of position. He will be aggressive. He will want to get the best possible start, but with 40 cars, some cars will be coming out that tight chicane as the lights go to green.
Yeah, it's going to be very, very difficult starting those final few rows. But look, the light is falling. Right, pole starter, the number 63 Lamborghini on the outside. He's the pit wall starter, pit wall side starter. The grandstand starter is Patrick Niederhauser. It's Lamborghini from Porsche, tucked in behind the Ferrari of Alessio Rivera. Alongside him, Jim Pla, the CSA Racing McLaren. He was our guide around the circuit, that wonderful onboard lap. But this is the final corner, onto the start-finish straight. How close can you pack these cars? They're almost on top of each other. 20 rows, 40 cars. The lights are already green. A very, very quick flick. Looks like a very tidy getaway from pole position from Luca Engster. And the driver in 4th place is the one pushing as hardest. Jim Pla in his McLaren goes towards the outside there, and that's when you can get muscled off the circuit. But all nice and clean for about the first 20 cars. What's happening behind, I can't tell you yet, but what I can tell you is Luca Engster made a really, really tidy start from pole position.
Yeah, looks like Stoltz had Lucas Auer off on the exit of turn 1. This 9 car eased off the yellow man filter car, but we go on board with Rivera now 3rd position. You can see them still working the pressures higher and higher. Engster doesn't have to defend here. We're going to see the concertina up here into the hairpin.
Yeah, Marcus Siebert lost a few positions. I thought we'd have a spinner. I didn't think. Rivera, having fallen to the back in qualifying, being reinstated into 3rd position. Not what he wanted. The winner of the opening race of the season at Brands Hatch, and it's not going to be happening for him here tonight and his team at Vincent Abril. But that's what happens at the Adelaide hairpin. It always has, and it always will.
Yeah, it looked like Jim Pla got into the back of him. Hard to see if it was Jim Pla accelerating too early or Rivera was slow to get going, but expect a potential penalty for Jim Pla there, maybe 10 seconds. You could see all the carbon fibre as well from other cars. Drivers doing well to avoid that. That would have been in the blind spot, and Rivera doing well to flick it round with the traction control off. Now getting more single file outside the top 15. Big slide there for Tom Fleming.
Yeah, well, of course, that was the dream result there for Luca Engster and Patrick Niederhauser. They didn't wish on anyone else, but they've now got a big gap between them and the rest. That will really, really give them choices in this race. Down at the very back of the field, I can see Dennis Marshall's already picked off about 5 or 6 positions, his Kessel Racing Ferrari, but bouncing over the curves, just trying to get clear of Patrick Niederhauser. Luca Engster powering on to the Garage 59 McLarens, very close to each other, and in fact, very close to disaster as they go through the final corner.
Yeah, Cheever, the meat of the Garage 59 sandwich, got past Goethe, saw some more bodywork Gilbert flying off. Could have been the front of that 93 Sky Tempesta car, but good move from Chiva. Aggressive on the first lap. Car still fighting all over this place. Lion speed there, looking down the inside windward. But the front two, like you said, they wouldn't have wished bad, but I'm sure they would as a racing driver. I know they would have, and now they have gapped. They've got, what, 1.6 seconds back to Jim Pla in third. Be interesting to see if Jim Pla's got any damage on the front left corner of his McLaren.
And the one who really lost out, he lost about 3 positions for Adelaide on the first lap, was Marcus Siebert, who'd been in class pole. And in fact, he's had even more problems this time. He's gone way too deep into Adelaide. He's just lost about 4 more positions. But up to the lead in the Silver Cup class is Kobe Powells. It's going well. He's sharing with Jamie Day, who's just come up from winning a race in Australia last weekend. So, you know, as a racing driver, sometimes when your momentum is with you, it's just these small elements. But what brilliant shot. And unfortunately, 1, 2, 3 cars forward of Roman Andriolo, the Mustang, deep in the gravel. So I think that big advantage that Luca Engster and Patrick Niederhauser has will surely be hauled back in, because one does feel there's going to be interruptions. And that's turn 5, deep in the gravel. Safety car, there is the message. But Joe, no surprise there.
No, and Tom Fleming, that first garage 59, gets the move done on boost. He's been a man on the move in the first few laps and has done a really good job. Has gained 3 places, and there was a third car, so we saw the Mustang, the 99 Audi as well there. And yeah, Siebert locked the rears, didn't he? I don't know if he got contact. So much to look at with 40 cars on the grid.
Well, there really is. I've just taken a quick look at the timing screens. We can see that the race is still being led by Luca Engster. They can see the flags, but it's the trying to work out which of the Audis is up there. Is it? Well, it's the Ford. That's easy to work out. There's only one of those in the race.
Audi.
And it's 99. So that would make it. Start driver in that would be Alex Arca. He's out of the car. I did notice that with the delays at the same corner on the first lap, various people lost out. Chris Lullum started 10th. He's fallen all the way down to 30-something position.
Yeah, 5th for Barwell, 78. Hugo Cook is missing as well. I think he was the 3rd car in that. And without pointing fingers, without any evidence, the Mustang looks guilty. Front end damage on that car, rear end damage on the Audi. We saw the concertina effect happening on the first few laps already. And the further you go back in the pack, the more that happens and the more it can catch you out. There's a fair amount of damage on the front right there and on the rear left of the Audi, and somewhere there's a 78 Lamborghini limping back to pit lane. So just 2 cars stranded there, but I expect the Barwell 78 to potentially box this lap with other damage. But it's going to be 2 or 3 laps under safety car. Pit window ever closer, as you can see Alex Acker trudging away there. Look at the skid marks. That was quite a big impact early on in the brake zone, relatively.
Yeah, certainly was. So you can be sure that suddenly a couple of crews have got a little bit of a late night tonight to at least get the cars part ready for tomorrow. And so just to reiterate, tomorrow's race starts at 3:05, so they have got time, but you just want to get the rebuild underway before you head off to your hotel. So it looks brighter on screen than it is in real life. That's the glory of television. Actually, it's a rather lovely sunset here at Magny-Cours, but for a lot of the drivers now, the light is falling, and therefore just that ability to be millimetre, or let's say centimetre perfect when trying to place the car is going to go away. And of course, what heat they built in their tyres has just fallen. They've got to be very, very wary of that. What should they be doing right now?
So you've got to stay on the racing line, keep these tyres clean. You don't want to get any marbles whatsoever. So this is going to be a mega drone shot. So we're going to be trying to spot the Mustang. That's going to be the easiest car to spot in all this. It's going to be a fair way back from where we're looking. This is potentially where Fleming went for a bit of a dive bomb on boost and eventually got the position on the next straight after this. You can see him go down the inside. Siebert, no contact. Look left, look for the Mustang coming into shot any second now. And I think there's going to be 3 cars involved. There's an Audi there on the outside by himself. The Mustang hits into the back of the Audi, which went into the back of the 78 Lamborghini. So no intention, no malice, but unfortunately just too late on the brakes for the 64 Mustang, and that has wiped out 3 cars.
And he was absolutely right on the very edge of the circuit. Had he jinked any further across, he'd have been on the grass. Didn't want to do that, but there is the contact caught through the windscreen of the recovering Alessio Rivera. Remember, he had his problem on the opening lap and went for the spin. Indeed, lightning does strike twice.
So far left of your shot, and it's already happening because that is the speed difference. 260k down to 45 at this corner, so a huge amount to be lost. And you can see the Mustang coming in way too hot, smashes back into the Audi, into the Lamborghini. That's the world's most expensive Newton cradle you'll ever see there. Cars flying off, and I don't want to put a price on that, but that is going to be 40 or 50,000 euros of very fine Ford carbon fibre that needs to be repaired for qualifying tomorrow morning.
Well, it's always an absolute shame when you lose one of the best sounding cars in the race. That wonderful V8 rumble that's certainly been a fan of the Blue Oval, coming and joining all the other manufacturers in GT3. But for tonight, it's out of the race. We've still got to obviously have Alex Arca's number 99 Audi cleared away as well. Sorry, Ezequiel Perez Compact. I don't know why I put Alex Arca in the car, but let's get the right person in there. But so for the Argentinian racer, he'll be disappointed, and particularly when you've just got your braking right and someone behind hasn't quite managed it. But there was a concertina effect. We've seen a Ferrari already go straight on there, and everyone else is just in turn reacting. And incrementally, you're quite right, the further back in the train you are, the more it seems to come back at you.
Without using hindsight to state the obvious, that's why a good qualifying is so important. The risk goes through the roof. Once you get outside the top 15, outside the top 20, the risk of an accident goes up so quickly. So that's why drivers are so hyper-focused on it, especially with overtaking being relatively difficult in the modern GT3 era. The more you can get to the front, the better your life is going to be for the weekend. And at the moment, the person having their best life is this 63 Lucas Engstler GRT Grassa Lamborghini.
Yeah, following the safety go around. Now, the start looked very tidy for Luca Engstler's point of view, but in about 5th or 6th place, it really got a little bit tough. You could see the Winward Racing Mercedes getting a real twitch. Lucky Howard doing a good job to get that back onto the stuff that had some grip. Down through Estoril for the first time. Any problems were likely to come at the back of the pack. The first half dozen or cars got through, but really all drivers are thinking, got through this, what's the next point we do heavy braking? Oh, I know, Adelaide hairpin, and it was the car in 3rd place that ended up, was there contact? Yes, there was. We were looking through the windscreen of Jim Pla's McLaren. He might say, Rivera turned across my nose, but you do tend to have to turn when you're getting to a hairpin.
That's the penalty for the McLaren all day long. 10 seconds potentially, maybe more. The only thing you would say is Stokes was in the back of him, but I think that happened after the contact. And you can see one of the other Ferraris getting caught up in that. Was that the Vermeulen-driven?
Yes, it was. That was the one with Chris Lund. So he started 10th. He's now, I said he was 33rd. He's now 29th as the other cars had their problem. But there is the spin on board from Rivera. Fantastic way it's all been picked up. And there, absolute proof that it was Chris Lund. Now, this wonderful drone shot looking down at the first corner. Look for the battle. Yeah, 5th and 6th places. No, 6th and 7th places. But the yellow Winward Racing Mercedes off the circuit lost 1, 2, 3 positions. Dirt on its tyres. But Auer got actually pretty good traction down into Estoril, was able to get that run out of the corner for the long climb. He lost the position on the way out, but he could have lost so much more there.
Yeah, I thought Stokes rubbed him on the side, but actually didn't look like any contact whatsoever. Auer was just conscious he was there, so tried to run all the way to the exit of the track and just overshot slightly. You see the Ferrari get turned around now, and yeah, I don't think Stokes gets in the back of that McLaren there, and yeah, unfortunately for Chris Lund, nothing he could do. Gets away quickly, but that is 23 places lost just like that.
Really was. So the safety car leading the field around. Another replay of the start of the race. It's such a brilliant opening corner of the race. First 10 cars with just Winward Racing yellow Mercedes being shoved to the outside, and then the Garage 59 McLaren's getting very busy indeed down around the middle order.
Yeah, but both of them gaining places. 3 for Fleming, 6 for Goethe. So they've had a great start to this race, qualifying lower than they would have wanted, especially that 59 car, our latest winner last time out at Misano.
Yeah, that started down in 18th position and it's advanced up, well, as you say, 6 places gained. So still the safety car goes around. Still the drivers very cognizant of the fact they need to get heat into their tyres for when we go green again. When the safety car pulls in, they get the signal. But just remember, Luca Engstler and Patrick Niederhauser had been in the clear, hadn't they? They had got that break because of Rivera being spun around out of 3rd place, everyone else being slightly delayed. But of course, under the safety car, everyone is back, nose to tail. No overtaking as yet until the safety car period comes to an end. But what are we doing? We're getting closer towards the pit window. That opens after 25 minutes and it stays open for 10 minutes. We've got a way to that yet, but certainly for the drivers that are doing the first half of the race, they were rather hoping to get as much of an advantage as they could, as much racing time. It's always a frustration for the drivers, but when you've got a couple of cars off, you've got to clear them up, and particularly at a braking point. What's the top speed you get as they're coming up towards Adelaide? It's about
260k.
260k, and they need to bring it down by a mere 215k. That requires braking.
Yes, exactly that. I think safety car could be in this lap. The Marshal's done a good job clearing up. Cars are out of the way. It's nearly half the stint has gone though for these first drivers, as you see that Audi getting out of the way. So Niels Vicic in race control will be making the decision there. Looks like it's going well. He's got another 25 seconds until those lights need to be out if it's going to be this time. But I'm hopeful we'll get back to green racing. We'll have roughly 46.5 minutes left of green flag potential racing.
Potential, we'll go for potential, we'll go for the racing when it happens, but Luca Engstall will be the driver that dictates the restart. He's the driver at the front of the field, and actually thinking about the final 3 corners of the lap here, when you go into Lycée Pin, and you've got that very sharp right-hander, it's about 100 degrees, and then almost immediately you're into the next 2, the 16 and 17, the flick onto the start-finish straight. So it's a really, really tricky one if you're not the lead driver of the group on the release. Right, looking down over turn 180, that's the downhill, turning to uphill, where you've gone through the Nürburgring chicane, you have a little kink on the way back up the hill, then you've got the Imola chicane, and we've certainly had a lot of action, and the lights are now out. They had to be done with half a lap to go, and they absolutely nailed that one. So what we'll see, yes, exactly what I expected. Luca Engstall has backed it off. He's just reading the instruction manual. Down the hill he will come, of course. No one can overtake him until they cross the start-finish line. But at any moment, he's going to just hammer the throttle, and the hardest thing for anyone behind is to know when and how they're going to react. But Patrick Niederhauser, he's been around the block a few times, so he's going to be just absolutely trying to focus and see any clue he can get in the fading light. And in fact, right now, they're heading down the hill into the setting sun. That's not a helping hand.
Yeah, difficult. It looks like they've gone, don't they? We've gone into the last part, and not a bad restart, but Niederhauser with a load of understeer there. Couldn't get to the apex. That's a lovely restart for Engstall, and still that Porsche not getting a huge amount of mechanical grip at the moment. It's been a dream restart for Engstall, and he'll be able to get his head down and keep pushing for the rest of his stint.
That was really, really clever to accelerate almost on the point of braking. So everyone accelerates, then brakes. And yes, definitely the front end on Niederhauser's Porsche washed away a little bit. Others are still trying to struggle for grip as they're getting around Estoril. Up the long, long climb they go towards the Adelaide hairpin. What could possibly go right? Well, let's find out. I think Engstall's got the job done. He's surely got a big enough advantage to get into the hairpin, around the corner before anyone else can get close. It looks like the action's coming further back. Lucas Auer looking out, looking one way, looking another. Is the contact. The driver on the move there is Charles Wirtz around the outside, but unfortunately the outside wasn't where he wanted to be in the end. And Auer's going, no, mate, you're not coming through there.
So important for the championship, how close they are. Any point, a single point makes a big difference. Is Fleming trying to go round the outside of Neubauer in the background. Neubauer and Leclerc are sole remaining all-French lineup at their local race.
Yeah, so the yellow Mercedes and the orangey red BMW, they're the 2 cars at the front of the championship. In the sprint series, it's the BMW from WRT that leads by 1 point. Remember, I pointed that before the start of the race, but Lucas Auer's car is just 1 point behind, but importantly is 1 position ahead. But right now he's going to have absolutely no rest up until they get to that pit window, and then they'll have to decide when to come in.
Through penalty, 111. Only 18 seconds here to drive through the 249.5 metre pit lane, so not a disaster, but race control acting fast, and I wholeheartedly agree. You're going to start to see these brake discs glowing as well in the dark, 650, 700 degrees centigrade. As you can see, one of the Pyrenean cars, Jake Dennis, running wide there as well. Cars still struggling for grip. Track temp will start to drop away, which will bring some grip back, but the teams have to have the pressures in the right window.
Yeah, just talking of Jake Dennis there, started 27th. Yes, there was a bit of sorting out up ahead, but he's moved up to 16th, so I think in his own right he's gained about 8 places, so the progress is in the right direction.
Yeah, this 111 car does have front left damage as well, so the safety car's not going to help them because it's bunched everyone back up. So we need to realistically add 18 seconds, which is going to put him in 38th place from 3rd, and damage on that car as well. As you can see, Auer defending from the BMW rather robustly on Charles Wirtz there. Just gave him the racing line, then just rolled over just to make sure that there was no possible move around the outside there.
And what's very good, the good news there isn't for Charles Wirtz who's chasing, but it's for Kobe Powells who's running ahead of them in the Come To You Racing Aston Martin, leading the Silver Cup class, 5th place overall. Really good race so far, but as long as Auer and Wirtz at each other's throats, which is what they're going to be up until the pit window, this gives him at least half a chance to start seeing if he can get up onto the tail of Luca Stoltz. Of course, they're all going to go up a position. 4th will become 3rd, etc., because Jim Pla's got a drive-through penalty to serve. That will take 3rd place and and throw it out the window.
Yeah, Chiva runs in real deep there. That'll be a track limit warning. You do 5 of them, and now he's having to maybe look at defending as well, as we see Fleming get down the inside of Neubauer. Fleming is the man on the move, now braking well inside to the top 8. This is a mega drive so far, and now he will be trying to chase down the BMW. Will that potentially help Lucas Auer if Wirtz has to start looking in his mirror at this 58 McLaren?
Yeah, sometimes you need the cavalry to arrive, and it does look as though Tom Fleming's got the pace to be that. But, you know, what's been elapsed, they've already lost 17 minutes this race. Another 8 minutes, the pit window will open, and that's when the teams will have to decide how they come in. So it doesn't matter if it's first or last. The battling is fantastic around the circuit here at Magny-Cours. The light is falling fast. We had that quick safety car period, couple of cars out of the race after contact up at the Adelaide hairpin. Up front is still Luca Engstler, 1.1 seconds to good. Almost no one else in the race has got a margin as big as that, because they are nose to tail as they work their way under heavy braking down to 45 kph round the Adelaide hairpin.
Yeah, Lapalainen got down the inside of Benji Goth there, interestingly, but move not done, slightly behind this battle. You can see they're all starting to bunch up. Chiva potentially a bit of a cork in the bottle there, holding up the Porsche of Boos, and then I think we're going to start to see everyone start to close up. It's hard to overtake in here, but you can see cars looking to the inside. That's more to distract the driver, catch the eye in the mirror, and then you can see the amount of different lines coming in here at turn 8. Go in early to maybe defend, but then your exit will be poor. We go on board with this BMW now, and you can just see the strength of the BMW down this straight. We start to reel in the Ferrari in front, but then we're not quite as nimble and agile through the slow speed corner, so we start to lose time there. Balance looks really good, I have to say. No understeer, no oversteer whatsoever. Gaining nicely on the back of Siebert there in the Ferrari. Jake Dennis not happy with his qualifying aboard this 991 BMW, but at the moment seems to be able to take the fight to the cars in front.
Yeah, well, he's going well in his class, but that's not the point. He's lying third in the bronze class. He's got to keep working his way forward. Certainly, Darren Lung will be looking for the highest position he can get when he takes over the car. The front of the field is just starting to string out a little bit. 0.2 of a second gained by our race leader, Luca Engstler. But look, everybody else, line astern, looking, thinking about when to make the move. Do you dare make it and risk all before the pit stops? UNX Racing, good to have them on board for the second race meeting running, and they are moving around, gaining experience. Mathieu Detry at the wheel of that at the moment, just outside the top 20. A little bit of front-end damage, as you pointed out earlier, on Lucas Stoltz's Mercedes. That's running fourth on the track, being harried now by Kobe Powell's Aston Martin, but they will have the message that the 111 CSA Racing McLaren, running in third place overall, getting away from a little bit, has got a drive-through penalty. They could discount him, just ignore him for now.
Great drive from Kobe Powers, we're riding on board with. You saw himself and Maxime Martin, the Belgian Mafia drivers there, linking up. It's actually Maxime Martin taking over that silver Mercedes in front of Kobe Powell from Lucas Stoltz halfway through this race. I don't know if Maxime Martin would have expected this pace from Kobe Powers. They look friendly on the grid. He won't be so friendly towards him if he displaces Lucas Stoltz. You can see the Rutronic Porsche mechanics there, limbering up. One of the fastest pit stops we've had has been from Rutronic. We're expecting sub 17 seconds for just 2 mechanics to swap all four tyres. What a drive change goes on.
Well, absolute precision, just to make it slightly harder. There will be lights in front of the garages, but it's easier in fading conditions. But the pace we're getting at the front from Luca Engstler, 1.3 seconds clear, fastest lap of the race so far. And pressing on indeed, looking at Alliance BGP, Bastian Boos just inside the top 10. That move on Thomas Neubauer has worked. So partway down in this train, look out for Boos, always on the move in his Porsche. There he goes.
Yeah, and importantly, leading the bronze class as well. So all the classes doing very well. We touched on Kobe Powers. He's leading his silver class. Fleming leading the gold class there on the graphics. But all 4 classes nearly inside, well inside the top 10, sorry. So you can see how well represented. Just remember, those bronze class cars will be longer in the pit stops. They've got a mandatory 53 seconds into out. Expect them to lose 15 seconds or so to the fastest pit stop cars.
Yeah, your big question is when you choose to serve that drive-through penalty. You've got to look at the bunching of the other cars. You've got to look at the track map. You've got to really get your intel spot on. Get it wrong by about a second in terms of the lap you come in on, and it could cost you quite a few places. And in a field like this, you don't expect to make up any ground, or any meaningful ground after a drive-through. But look how close it is. Downhill sweepers That chicane that's so tempting, as you say, Joe, to grab a bit more curb, but they are watching. I'm just trying to look. Quite a few people are now beginning to accrue warnings. When you get to your 5th warning for track limits, that's when you start getting problems.
Yeah, exactly that. But the CSA McLaren has to box this lap for its drive-through. You've only got 3 laps to do it. This is its 3rd lap since it was served. That's what I'd expect them to do, to try and go as long into that to hopefully drop into a better window. And you can see drivers starting to get ready. Vince Abril looking distraught there. They had a terrible qualifying last, then got back up to 4th, getting their lap back, and now they're back to last. He really not happy, Arthur Leclerc, the other driver, with his helmet on, ready to go.
Yeah, talk about the yin and yang. Back up to the front. Now let's take a look at the race vision powered by AWS and competitive overtakes. Yeah, it is Jake Dennis who's got the lion's share. Luke Hartog also picked out. He's in the 2nd of the Rutronic Racing Porsches. He's got 5 to Dennis's 6. And Mateo Villagomez, the driver from Ecuador, got 4 in the bag. And Chris Lullum, he's gained 4, but of course he had to because he fell from 10th on the grid. Big sort out up at the Adelaide hairpin on the 1st lap. And he's been fighting his way back ever since. Lullum has continued to advance, but it's tough. He's only up to 26th position.
Yeah, the light ever fading top speed through turn 7, and it is Niederhausen in the Porsche, followed by 3 different Lamborghinis from an Audi, and that's why Vince Abril was pretty distraught. I wondered why he wasn't kitted up ready to go. There's obviously a problem on that car. Is that from the contact, or is that a different issue? I would guess it's the former.
One would think so. Of course, we're looking at the end of the car that didn't have the damage because the rub was to the right rear corner, and that was the CSA Racing McLaren that did the damage. Just coming through our shot. Now that's the CSA car in 3rd place, number 111 for Jim Pla, but the French driver will be coming in.
I think he's got a chance of getting black flagged here. He's done more than 3 laps to serve that drive-through penalty, and it's not something you can really go and argue. It's a judge of fact. It's done. There's no way around it. As we get a replay at the corner where we saw contact there, you can see a lunge from Villagomez and a load of bodywork falling off there. Actually looks like an internal brake duct, that off a car, not an outside one. And then you can see Engstler now flying through turn 1 and starting to spread out slightly.
Right, what does a driver do if they don't get a radio message telling them you've got a drive-through penalty?
You have to look for your pit board, but you're not normally looking for your pit board because you're expecting a radio. So the better drivers and better teams, you get into a bit of a rhythm, and if you haven't heard from your engineer in a few laps, you just give it a radio check, and if you don't hear anything, then your eyes go to pit wall. But yeah, it's pretty rare these days to get a full radio failure if that's the card they're trying to play.
Now we're just hearing that it appears that CSA Racing haven't decided to ruin the race of Jim Pla or bring him the bad news, and he's going to be innocent. You'd have thought in his situation he'd be going, well, they're going to tell me. I think I probably might be getting a penalty for that contact, but if he hasn't been told, he's doing the job he needs to do. Just keep pressing on. Right, that top speed, it's still Patrick Niederhauser fastest at turn 7, and it's such a tricky corner, wonderful corner, brilliant high shot there. Looking at a few people getting very, very close indeed to exceeding track limits, and still the warnings come in, largely at turn 11. In fact, that's the uphill chicane. Looks like a bit of a place change down there. There's certainly a bit of rubbing. They say rubbing is racing, but the Ferraris will be on the wrong side of the track. McLaren behind says, thank you very much. You know what? I might take both of you. Up the hill, 3 into a chicane. It's not a formula that normally works, and the McLaren certainly eventually getting back to the circuit. But ambition, I think when you suddenly get an opportunity like that, Joe, you think, I'm going for it. Ziggo Sport Tempesta Ferrari stays at the front of that group, but it was very, very tight indeed.
Yeah, that was Chivon Neubauer on Goethe. Goethe, super brave, making it 3 wide, but only half of that car was on the tarmac, so he had to back out of it. Yes, they cut the inside, but all was fair, all stayed there. And now Neubauer pits. That was as early as he could. Good move by AF Course there to get him out. So does Charles Wirtz, and this is where the undercut's so strong. Another set of tyres were going on. We see the undercut 2 or 3 seconds sometimes worth, and we're trying to get mechanics out of the way there. Looks like AF Course gesticulating, and the driver change, 4 tyres happening now.
Yeah, and Team WRT have got the final pit garages before pit exit, which is always quite a good thing. But quite simply, Wirtz had tried for lap after lap to get past Lucas Ara. It wasn't happening, and I think that's a very sensible call.
You can see how tight WRT on pit exit, the car control having to get well out of the way. Will they even get up to 50k by the end? They did have the limiter on, so they do feel it. And now we can finally see what this 32 BMW's got now with Van der Linde in the car. I think Wirtz could have had good pace. If this car can do an undercut, they're going to gain a couple of positions potentially and get themselves maybe up to 5th place, I think.
Yeah, so far 6 runners came into the pits, gave them plenty of space to make those stops, so they're not tripping up over each other. Now, we were told before the start of the race, it's a split pit window. We have the first 5 minutes, 25 to 30 minutes into the race for the pros and the golds. That's why we saw people like Charles Weerts come in. And then 30 to 35 minutes, the silver and bronze drivers. A lot for the crews to think about.
Yeah, that was a ballistic pit stop from WRT as well. 2.5 seconds quicker than the AF Course Ferrari that pitted on the same lap. So they've definitely done a number there. Now Engster can pit. He couldn't pit the lap before because he was the race leader. The pit window hadn't opened. Niederhauser in as well, 50 kilometers an hour. You can see the dash going red. That must be really close to going over the speed limit. The driver will just keep it full throttle. We saw a penalty last time out for a pit speed violation for a WRT car of Marciello. So we have to keep an eye on there. Grasser getting to work. That rear right didn't come off super fast. Any mistake is 2 or 3 tenths lost. Is this going to be a race in pit lane between the Lambo and the Porsche?
Yeah, well, he certainly had the advantage for the pit stops. And remember, it was about 1.5 seconds clear. Luca Engster to 2.2 when they came into the pit lane. Right, there goes car 63, the Lamborghini that started from pole. And they have swapped around. So Rutronic Racing, you blew the trumpet for their pit changing skills, and they've done it again. And
where's going to be Charles Weerts, now driven obviously by Van der Linde. They're coming out the last corner. It's not going to be the lead, but they're going to be right on the back of the top 3 for WRT. And just about getting in front of that traffic. Luckily now for Jordan Pepper, he will be fired up. That was not a good pit stop. It was for that Rutronic car though.
Well, there were high fives all around in the Rutronic Racing garage. Clearly it's something they work on very, very hard, but that comes with rehearsal, that comes with clarity of thought, and job done for them. Well, that's in terms of the pit stop. It's what's going to happen out on the track, but certainly those places gained put them into the lead of the race. Now it's up to Jordan Pepper. Instead of being the hunted, he's the hunter. So look for the number 63 Lamborghini. Can it catch up? But Sven Muller's not going to hang around and find out.
Yeah, Grasser nearly lost 4 seconds in the pit stop to this Porsche. The Porsche pit stop was good, but it was still 7 tenths slower than WRT with the 32 car. Big slide there. He's getting on the throttle as hard as he can. Sven Muller will be on some fresh tyres. He'll want to get going. The Porsche behind is traffic, so we can discount that at the moment. It will be a concern for Sven Muller as we see the 111 pit, but this isn't his drive-through. This is a full service, so they're still owing us a drive-through penalty.
Maybe someone's discussing something with race control. Right now we can only focus on what's happening. The pit window's still open, still be open for a while yet, but the second batch of cars for the silver and bronze drivers will be coming in very soon indeed. But right now it's the time of the pros and the golds, and it's definitely been advantage to Team WRT and disadvantage the Grasser Racing team. All their work to take their first pole position since 2019. Brilliant start by Franz Engstler, but alas, it's not been quick enough in the pits.
No, it is not. And just to add context, 2 car teams only have 1 rig, so you can't do both cars. So Garage 59 giving priority to the car in front, Fleming, rather than the pro car. And you can see the CSA car now back up to speed. But for me, they've still got 18 seconds to be added on once they do their drive-through.
Now let's just run you down the order. If you look at the timing screens, it's Simon Gachet leading the race in 1:11. But however, that was within the pit lane. He's emerged from the pits. He won't be in the lead of the race. Kobe Powell's has yet to pit. And remember, he was running 5th in his Come2You Racing Aston Martin.
Yeah, these Mercedes have swapped as well in the pit lane, haven't they? Now Mara Engel in the yellow Mercedes versus Maxime Martin. So a very good pit stop from the Winwood team as we go on board now with Kobe Powell's again, the silver class leader. He can pit in the next 14 seconds. It's going to be close whether he's going to be able to pit this lap. The team will be talking him in. Next corner is pit entry. I think he could just about do it. Are they going to risk it? They are not. They're going to go for 1 more lap. Not a disaster. Kobe Powell's very quick, got clear air, but the undercut's strong because you get another set of fresh tyres. That's where you can extract a bit more lap time, potentially 4 to 5 seconds. The team saying the undercut worse. So you want it as early as possible to gain position, but because they're leading class, less important for them.
Yeah, and certainly Jamie Day will be, young British driver, will be licking his lips at that. But right now, Kobe Powell is going, I've got clear traffic.
And we have to box this lap for the drive-through. Sorry for that, but drive-through is confirmed. I'm really sorry, but box this lap for drive-through.
Well, for the 111 crew, that's a disaster for them. We knew it was coming. Simon Gachet's just taken over after the pit stop, but alas, the penalty was for Jim Plar on the opening lap of the race. What a deflation for Simon Gachet.
Yeah, super tough there. So he cruised through one of the shorter pit lanes of the year. So not as bad as it could be, but rules him out of an overall podium today.
Yeah, he was an outright winner here back in 2020. How time flies in a Sansalot Racing Audi, but certainly CSA Racing really getting a good grip of this McLaren through the course of this season. Right, car number 21, we've heard about Kobe Powers, and he'll be bringing it in shortly this time round, leading the race. He was running 5th before the pit stops, but we also knew, of course, that the number 111 McLaren was going to get that drive-through penalty, so effectively 4th, but a clear lead in the Silver Cup class. But he needs a good tidy pit stop, otherwise he might come out behind the cars that are 2nd and 3rd in silver, which is Luke Hartog and Jeff Michiels. I think he'll have enough in hand before he hands the Aston Martin over to Jamie Day.
Yeah, comments, you've had difficult races this year, had a very strong Spa 24-hour, but they will want to have a clean race coming into pit lane, down to 50k at the white line. Comments, you kind of middle of pit lane, so he'll be looking for his engineer there on the left. He'll come in, engine needs to be off, and then the driver change needs to be sub 20 seconds. That's the hard part. Driver out, driver in, all the belts.
I'm not entirely sure he got in time. I'm just looking at the clock. He came in about 20 seconds ago. We've only got 28 minutes left on the clock. I thought he had to have entered the pit lane at the 30-minute mark in this race. We will look out for that.
With the split one, because pit lane's so short here, they were the second part of the 5 minutes. So from 30
Oh, sorry, of course,
remaining.
silver class, you're quite right.
Yeah, exactly.
I made a point and then fell over it.
No, thank you for setting me up there. The car leaves now and looked like a clean pit stop, hard to the eye to spot seconds, but Jamie Day will now fire back up and off he goes onto this Magny-Cours circuit into a great bit of space as well. That's what you want as a driver, to settle in. Darkness falling, so when you see the lights in your mirrors, it's hard to get the gauge, but he's got a nice 2 or 3 second gap there just to ease himself in.
Yeah, just to settle down out of Estoril, he goes on up the climb. Now, I said Jordan Pepper had to get a bit of a move on to catch up. He had that awful pit stop taking over from pole sitter Franz Engstler, but he's very, very quickly got on the tail of the Rutronic Porsche. Sven Muller at the wheel of that, braking as late as he dares, flipping it through the chicane, but the Lamborghini is looking really, really tidy. I thought the job was almost done. I expected Pepper to close, but not as quickly as he has.
We've seen that a lot as he gets alongside. On exit, it's going to be side by side. It will favour the Porsche as the circuit flows to the right. Pepper's going to try and go round the outside. Will he have to cut the inside? Look at the straight line performance. They go door to door, and I think Pepper's got a chance of hanging around the outside. He backs out of it. Surprised at that. He was so far in front. I think he could have controlled the apex and asked Niederhauser, do you want to turn me around? Does he need to, though? He's going to get a good exit here, and if he can get the overlap, which he doesn't, this race is going to get lively. Pepper's so aggressive, and Niederhauser doesn't seem to have the pace to hold him off, but is defending fair and hard at the moment.
That pace was absolutely phenomenal coming up the hill. Right, this isn't the place you do overtaking between turns 15, 16 and 17. They come at you that fast. Onto the start, finish straight they go, past the pits. What's the Lamborghini going to do this time? That last lap was phenomenal. He closed in, and that move, it was 95% done, but he just obviously thought, no, I've got the pace. I'll just not take too much of a risk, because we've seen over the years, Joe, Imola chicane, it can lead to tears.
Yeah, exactly. And Sven Muller as well, being particularly fair, I thought, leaving space on the inside of 15. Sometimes gets awkward here as a driver. You'd rather everyone's hard and fair, but when there starts to be a gap left every now and again, you're not sure if the driver's going to do that again, so sometimes can get clunky. Looks like the Porsche's okay at the end of the straight there, going in deep, but interesting, a hairpin. Going deep doesn't always hurt because you're carrying a higher minimum, and he escapes down, and I think at the moment he seems to be okay. It was this next sequence where Pepper really got the run out the next tight left-hander after this chicane.
Yeah, down through the Nürburgring chicane. The next corner is the 180, but it was phenomenal. Just had a report from the pit lane. Thanks very much, Alexander the Guy. Car 51 out because of contact. That was Rivera's car. Remember, Abril wasn't ready to take it over because he'd obviously had the message. It was coming in. We saw it put away. So coming up the hill towards the Imola chicane. Last time around, the cars were much, much closer. In fact, the Lamborghini was going up the right-hand side, left-hand side of the track from the driver's point of view. This is the battle for outright race lead. It's nip, it's tuck, it's Chateau d'Eau, and again, the move covered off by Sven Muller. You've got to work harder than that, Pepper. You know what? This is what he loves. The South African will be really just plotting his move, but that was a much better exit from 180 from Sven Muller, and that bought him a little bit of a space.
Starting to see some understeer in this Porsche. We saw it on the restart for Niederhauser. Now Muller seems to be struggling to get the front end. This was the move you were talking about. He gets the cutback done. And at this moment, I think it's advantage Porsche because the circuit flows right. But look at the speed of the Lamborghini. Gets a slight slide draft, of course. But now he's nearly done. I think he can turn across the front of Muller there. And Muller sends it in what would have happened? There would have been contact. Would Pepper have been spun around? Was Pepper brave but clever in that regard to back out of it? But at the moment, the pace seems to have equalised, and that's the problem. When you follow a car in the dirty air, you work that front tyre harder, and if the pace performance drops off, Pepper might rue not taking that potential opportunity.
Had Pepper been about another 30 centimetres forward or a foot in old money, he could have moved across the nose that Porsche. He just wasn't quite confident. And don't forget, some of your vision out of the side of these cars is so tricky. Add the falling lights, and it wasn't worth the risk for Jordan Pepper. He's got another 23, 24 minutes to see what he can do, and they are way clear of Kelvin van der Linde, 7.5 seconds clear. So for the 32 Team WRT BMW, it started 10th, it's up in 3rd place. That is the sort of progress they need to do to keep that championship challenge coming as it is. But if we get to the end of this race, this will be another different... Rootronic Racing will become the first crew to take 2 wins in the championship. They won the opening race at Zandvoort. Whoa, great shots, a little bit of sparking action, but of course you talked about the sausage curb at the entrance to turn 7. They tried to stay off it, but they largely failed, don't they?
Yeah, the titanium skid blocks doing their job. Just in front of this battle, you can see the 888 Porsche. That's an AM car, that's a bronze car being driven now by Dufay. So that's going to get in the mix in the next lap and a half, and that'll be interesting for these guys to get past. Will Dufay get out of the way, or will he want to just keep his pace going? He's well within his right, and the race director will tell the drivers in the briefing to stay on your racing line. As we look at top speed through turn 1, 257k for Kirchhoff, and now taking over that 59 car, then from a BMW, then from the Ford. That must have done that early on, because that hasn't been in the race since lap 2. So that shows you the performance the Ford could have had. And there is the 58 car, the sister car to Kirchhoff, a Gold Cup leaders now with Louis Pret aboard, and they're 6th overall as well. So they're having a great run in this Garage 59 McLaren.
So we heard from the grid of his very handy driver coach, which was Stefan Ortelli, so it's going very nicely indeed. Didn't start the season as with Thomas Fleming as his teammate, but certainly making the very most of that very tidy start to the race. Leading the Silver Cup class, it's Jamie Day. We saw the number 21 Aston Martin come in the pits. Kobe Powell's doing a great job in the first part of the race. Right now, Jamie up in 7th place overall, but the next car in class, in the silver class, is down 5 places further back. Jeff McKeel's now getting darker and darker, and well, that looks what we call contact out on the track. The 991 BMW be given a thump up the door.
Yeah, pretty aggressive from the 19 Grasser there. Going to see the car pop to the inside in the mirror and just ease down long, opening the steering lock to avoid a bigger glancing blow. Surprise doesn't get on the headlight flasher to the 19 car. Just saying that wasn't particularly on Moulon there, sending it to the inside. Luckily, Darren Lung not seeing rouge with Moulon.
Yeah, exactly. Absolutely so. Right, gap between first and second, 0.7 of a second. Looking for any damage. Do we see any damage? Everyone seems to want to have a go at Darren Lung at the moment, but needs to just stay where he is. The McLaren tucked in behind, pushing and shoving, but not finding a way past at that point.
Yeah, that battle now for second place, and actually the McLaren of Tulio Lopez has got up to 3rd on the last lap and is now trying to take 2nd place in the bronze class off Darren Lung. So Darren Lung now will get his elbows out more on the McLaren than he did on Lamborghini, because it is for position. And leading that class is this 89 Porsche of Mardini. Yeah,
Basha Mardini doing great job. He's got about 5 seconds, 6 seconds over the battle behind. He doesn't mind if they battle. And there's Darren Lung 2nd in the bronze class, but Rinat Salikov not too far behind. When I say not too far behind, 0.3 of a second, so no relaxation for the British racer there.
Yeah, just looking at the pace, they're actually catching Basha Mardini there as we look at the Winward car that you've just mentioned. Just outside podium position at the moment, lost a position to the McLaren on the previous lap. Those purple lights flashing on the rear to show it's the bronze driver in the car, and that just helps the pros when they're coming past. And these 2 pros have got past that Porsche Dufay, so that hasn't changed the order, but Pepper's still on the back. Pepper having the fastest lap of the race so far, 0.6 off the lap record that was set by Rafael Marciello in 2024 in a Mercedes, but Pepper really quick. But now he's been behind for 3-4 laps. Has he lost that impetus that he had there, clouting the curb? Less than 20 minutes remaining. We've got time for 14 more laps. What can Pepper do?
Yeah, well, certainly plenty for the stewards to look at. Car number 81 has just been given a drive-through penalty. As I looked at the screen, it's changed. That was for contact, causing a collision with the number 80 Lion Speed GP car. That was the one shared by Ricardo Feller and Gabriel Ridon. So another visitor to the pit will be coming in soon. It's a shame because that aquamarine Mercedes had been looking very handy indeed. But again, that was at turn 13. So drive-through penalty for them. And a McLaren sitting where it shouldn't. So we've got yellow
wall,
flags. It's definitely had a thump into the wall.
You can see on the mid part of the white wall there, I think that's where he's gone off.
This is the start of the climb. You come through 180, you're just going through the right-hand kink, which doesn't normally cause a problem, but unsurprisingly, the car on the track, facing the wrong way, going nowhere, to the yellow sector.
Yeah, we're going to get safety car full course yellow because it could be recovered relatively quickly there, but that car was third in class, remember. Was that contact with the 81 car? Was it contact with Darren Lung? They were in a big battle. The 81 already having a drive-through for penalty. Full course yellow in 20 seconds. Cars have got to slow down to 80k. The drivers will be counted down on the radio and with their marshalling display in 10, and they've got to be at 80 when it hits 0. Luckily for these guys, they're at a slow speed corner. You can see the hazard lights come on, so very fair, but they will actually gain a bit of time over the third place car of Van der Linde, who would have had to slow down from about 160k as he was going through turn 12.
Yeah, definitely. It can ebb and flow. The one thing we cannot take away is the fact we've got this fantastic scrap between the two cars we're looking at now. The Rutronic Porsche started second on the grid. The car chasing is the car that's the Grasser Racing Lamborghini that started on pole. We had to change around during the pit stops, and then Jordan Pepper started attacking. He didn't quite make a move, and he's still sitting there looking. But I think your point about travelling in dirty air could have a point. But of course, right now everything will be cooling down a little bit. Full course yellow around the circuit. And it was Isaac Tutumlu Lopez in the other CSA Racing McLaren who was spun around and into the wall. So for them, a drive-through penalty for their car that was really well placed, the treble one of Simon Gachet and Jim Pla. But for Arthur Rougier and Isaac Tutumlu, I'm afraid it looks as though that is over and out with that rotation into the wall.
Yeah, it's a real shame for them because they had strong pace. Their sister car, least us forget, that was running third place, the 111 car now of Gachet, had to do the drive-through penalty. So here we are on board of Darren Lung. So that McLaren was behind us. It looks like it's just popped to our inside here. And then we're going to get the cutback here on the exit. So now that McLaren on our right, it's going to shoot across left at some point. Why does it shoot left? It's so difficult from a quick angle there. Did the 111 McLaren come across the front of us there, or did Darren Lung not leave him enough space? At the moment, I'm going to call that a racing incident because I can't call it at the moment. Obviously, Darren Lung involved at Mazzano with that fiery crash as well. That would be the last thing he would have wanted to see. But yeah, just going back to the 111 McLaren, it's good to see Lopez there walking away, but look at the damage. That wheel has lost every single spoke because it's hit a solid concrete wall. So I fear that has done the rear subframe on that McLaren. The McLaren tub, very strong, the only carbon fibre chassis car in GT3, but the rear subframe still made out of an aluminium honeycomb design, and we'll get this car away quite quickly. That boom will just plug straight into the roll cage and hoist the car up. But the sister car is actually the quickest car in this second part of the race with Gachet. So what could have been for them, because Pepper's really being held up, his stint average is a second slower than his fastest lap, and that's because he's being dictated pace-wise by Sven Muller in the Rutronic Porsche, leading this race right now.
So frustrations for those who want the race to be absolutely at full pace, but leading around, Sven Muller's looking, there's another driver just up ahead of his car. He doesn't want anyone just in front of him. It's the car number 80 Lion Speed GP Porsche would be the car they're going to have to get past when they when the race gets back up to full speed. Ricardo Feller, the Swiss racer, is a very, very quick individual, but his car is down where it doesn't want to be in the race, and I'm sure he will get out of their way. At least that's good, because the crews will go, don't worry, it's a tip-top driver in the Lion Speed car. If we get the restart anytime soon, I'm sure he won't make life difficult for you. But right now, gosh, they've worked so quickly to get the number 112 CSA Racing McLaren up off the dirt. Now they've got to guide it behind the concrete wall, and it was the concrete wall that it hit. Now, if we finish as we are running at the moment, Kelvin van der Linde and Charles Witz will assume the lead in the sprint overall. In fact, they're leading the championship coming into this, but they will gain 9.5 points, and that will just give them an advantage, but just half a point between them, Sven Muller and Patrick Niederhauser. So the car's running in third is leading the championship, but only just. So for Sven Muller, they need to stay in this lead position to halve the championship margin. But it's a blink of an eye.
So we'll have GRT wanting them to get the win, obviously, for the Lamborghini. We'll change one of those letters. WRT will want that car to overtake as well, because that will give them the championship lead back, because that full course yellow intervention there, I think, has favoured that Porsche. But let's see what Pepper can do on the restart. We have seen penalties this year for drivers going too early. It's so tempting as a driver as you're getting the countdown from 10 to 0, just to press it slightly early. All the car have GPS sensors straight to race control that gets flagged. So you want to get it on 0, not after, but definitely not before. And what you're going to see is Pepper lining up a move while they're at 80 to see if he can get a cut back done. That Porsche didn't restart well after the safety car. Does it not warm its tyres up as well? This could go back to green, I think, in the next lap.
Well, we're about to hear some radio from the 112 McLaren. That's the car being...
What happened?
Version to me, they're long. Again, version to me.
Well, that was the explanation from Isaac Tutumlu Lopez. We couldn't see, but of course, you know, when you're in that position, two cars have tangled, you state your case and state it very loudly.
Yeah,
I'm sure you never did that, Joe.
No, I was always right. And race control will look at that and use the CCTV there just to see if he was as far right as possible. Was he moving left, and was that the reason for contact? But that's one for race control. 13 minutes remaining. Once that car's there, I think we can go straight back to green. We sometimes go to safety car to allow the tyres to go back up to full temperature, but I think we can go back to green straight away.
And so exiting the Adelaide hairpin, 3 cars in shot. It's the cars in second and third that are first and second in the race. The Rutronic Porsche at the front of the field, and tucked in behind, right in behind, is the Lamborghini number 63, the car that started on pole. But what they need to look for is that red and white Lion Speed GP car with Ricardo Feller at the wheel. He's not in the race. He's way down at the tail end of the field, and they will need him to get out of the way.
Yeah, Ricardo Feller, top pro, so he will understand to jump out of it. His pace has been okay, so he might have enough pace to stay in front of them anyway. Yeah, if he gets involved, I expect him to dive out.
Sorry, I've just got to correct myself. Gabriel Rindone is the driver in the second half of the race. I'm afraid a driver, you know, the little driver identification took a while to flick over, so it'd be Gabriel who's at the wheel. But I'm sure the crew will be saying, we've got to restart, and it's gone very, very quickly indeed. It almost feels like full darkness. There is some light in the sky. But Jordan Pepper, again, you've talked about the Porsche really struggling to get any heat in its tyres. 2 Porsches there, but it's the Lamborghini who's about to go past the pair of them. This is for the lead of the race, and can the Lamborghini that started in pole position get the move done? Again, he's not quite a car length clear. He wants to pull across, and now, just now, has he managed to do it down to Chateau d'Eau. He'll have the corner covered.
Great move, goes in deep though. Can we get a cut back from Muller? We look back from the Lamborghini, you can see the splitter, you can see it getting into the back of the diffuser of this Lamborghini. The headlights ablaze, and the Porsche not happy as it came off the curb at T12, had a huge snap of oversteer, and that allowed Pepper then to set the move up coming out of 13, and Redone was involved but really didn't play a part, just made it 3 wide, a bit more Hollywood. But what can Muller do now? Pepper had the pace. I expect this to be Lamborghini going, gone.
You think so, because when they came out of the pits, their order had been swapped with the Rutronic Porsche that came in second, coming out in front of the Lamborghini. But so quickly after the pit stops, Pepper was able to close the gap. Then he was stuck for several laps. Then we've had this full course yellow, but that was a brilliant restart from him, and just frustration, I would suggest, there for Rutronic Racing. So are we going to see the 7th winner in 7 races? Grasser Racing Team, their best results so far, second in the opening race of the second round at Zandvoort on the Dutch coast. Can they make it here, right in the centre of France? 7 winners from 7 races. Right now with, 10.5 minutes on the clock, and the pace of the Lamborghini, you'd have to say yes. However, 10.5 minutes, anything can happen.
And 7 different winners has never happened in this series before, which is impressive anyway, but especially when this is a record entry. 40 cars here this weekend, 43 at Misano last weekend, 76 at Spa for the 24. So it's never been more competitive in its depth, but also in its quality.
Yeah, but also just remember with the little 10-minute qualifying sessions, the chances of making a slip up and not ending up with a time, as we saw initially for Alessio Rivera, then he had his time reinstated, went to third. But for Kessel Racing, their Ferrari ended up right down at the tail of the field, and that was fastest of all. But right now, it's about what's happening on the track, and Jordan Pepper is doing what we think he could. The gap between them last time was 0.36. He's gained half a second. He's 0.8 of a second clear in the lead. Just under 10 minutes to go, and he's pacing away.
This was when Niederhaus got that snap of oversteer. You can see him running deep, so then he compromises his entry here at 13. Pepper gets the cutback, so tucks back, gets on the throttle earlier. That's why he's got more speed. Redone maybe did affect Muller being able to let the car run wide, but I think the job would have been done if that Porsche was there or not of Rendon. And then this is that we're going to see suddenly two Porsches. The important one is the Rutronic one. Look at the traction of that Lamborghini, looking brilliant there. And then finally we get the job done. You can just see that Porsche there. And we'll just ease him over to the racing line just to cover the inside. We do roll in deep here at 15, and that's why the Porsche can get to our inside, but not enough time there. You can see the set of 11 set out the back, and look at Enxler and the whole of the Grasser team celebrate that.
It's lovely, but the job isn't done yet, but you'd have to say the pace. Now, let's take a look running down through the class as well. Gold class, 6th place overall. Louis Pret leading that for Garage 59, but some great scrapping. That's Maxime Martin just up ahead of him. And ahead of him in 4th place, Mauro Engel, the number 48 Mercedes, pushing on hard. He's trying to get back with Kelvin van der Linde. He's 1 and a bit seconds down. And in turn, Kelvin is 9 seconds off this lead grouping. Kelvin just needs to stay where he is. Just to stay in the lead of the championship, but you can be sure that Mauro Engel, so many wins for him, will be pressing on. In Gold Cup, as pointed out, Louis Pret, Garage 59, McLaren. Jamie Day is leading the Silver Cup. There he is, right in behind in 7th place overall, the number 21. Aston Martin, good meeting for them, and leading the bronze class is still Basha Mardini, car number 89, having a great run in his Lion Speed GP Porsche.
Yeah, I think that long full course yellow has probably helped Mardini, because Darren Lung and Lopez, who obviously has crashed out, were catching. But the silver class leader relatively clear as well of Gazoo in the Boots and VDS number 10 car, 14th overall. And the gold class really handed to Garage 59, wasn't it? After the Verstappen.com Ferrari of the time, Lundholm held up, and that has really ruled them out. Vermeulen has recovered well to 20th, but that will be a very frustrating race for them through no fault of their own.
Right, we talk about this race, this competition, the GT World Challenge Europe having 9 manufacturers in it, but the 2 cars, first and second, these manufacturers have never won here at Magny-Cours, so it chops and it changes. So never a Porsche winner here, nor a Lamborghini. And right now, with 7.5 minutes remaining, and Sven Muller not able to regain ground. He lost another 1/10 of a second last time around or so, but it's very nearly a second clear for Jordan Pepper. An advantage for him. The next car up the track ahead of him as he comes out of the kink, out of 180. He's approaching the Imola chicane, turns 11 and 12, and the car in front he's about to lap is going through turn 13. That's enough of a gap, and that's on its own. So he should be able to pick off the number 27. That's the QMMF, the Qatari Audi pushing on.
Yeah, 5-second penalty for the 27 car there, the Qatar Santalot car on board with Darren Lung. You see working away at the wheel on board Jake Dennis at the start of this race. The car looked much happier. That clock in the middle you can see is a delta time, so that will be to Jake Dennis's time. So he's doing really well there through the Adelaide hairpin. No time lost. We were 2.5 tenths down on entry, 21 hundredths down on exit, as we look back to this battle between the 777 car and the 25. This is for second place in the gold class.
Yeah, very tight indeed, which is exactly how you want it. On a circuit like this, 2 or 3, maybe 4 points around the lap where you can possibly, I say possibly, make a move. But at the moment, it's Al Zubair still ahead of Gilles Magnus, and Gilles had great success at his home circuit over the years. So he's still got to fancy his chances of getting a place past, but when? But the good thing for them, nobody's immediately around them, so I think the Santalot Racing Audi driver definitely have his chance. But certainly Al Zubair, very neat and tidy through the Estoril corner. It's such a long one, and then slipping the exit very slightly, but he's just not leaving any doors open. But it's about the speed up the hill, what you can do in the Adelaide hairpin. I'd say right now the BMW's got an advantage. It should keep on this lap at least.
Yeah, and the pace ebbing and flowing you can see on the graphic illustrated there, but the Audi with a faster lap in the race. So can that 25 car get second place in the gold class with 5 minutes remaining? It's had a strong stint so far, just looking down the order, other battles. Martin still being held up by Engel, but not able to do anything. Arthur Leclerc has been very quick. Can he get ahead of Ben Green to be the highest placed Ferrari in 7th? That battle rages on with Kirchhoffer involved as well. And now the 25 Santilok Audi to the inside, but the BMW should have the drive down the straight.
That's an interesting point. The highest placed Ferrari, 8. Remember, we had Rivera 3rd on the opening lap, and tucked it behind was Chris Lullen, who got spun down to the back. His teammate is picking his way up the order. Of course, that's Thierry pushing on so hard, but Thierry Vermeulen. But right now, it's very, very busy indeed. Gilles Magnus he gained half a second on the previous lap, catching Darren Lung. Now he's got time, he's got to pick his moment, but Darren Lung is not going to be an easy nut to crack at all.
This is hard here as we see Al Zubair in front. This is why it's hard, because at night you can't quite see where the driver is and you're having to defend sometimes shadows.
Absolutely so. Picking out the colours of the cars clearly defeated me just there. Of course, Darren Lung a little further back, but Faisal Al Zubair covering it off, but he knows the last time round Gilles Magnus was further back, and now he's right on his tail. 1.5 car lengths between the pair of them, picked out by the floodlighting around the circuit. Full darkness at some points, but certainly some good zones of light. Up front, the gap between first and second is over a second now. Jordan Pepper with 4 minutes exactly remaining until the checkered flag can fall. 1.2 seconds clear. Where's the challenging coming from Sven Muller? We saw him really struggle for grip, particularly at 180. Remember, the front washed away from him, and that was the first chance that Jordan Pepper had. Later, though, Jordan Pepper got the job done into the lead of the race.
Yeah, this Audi's starting to get leery. Even in the last lap and a half, we've been on board with it. The rear starting to work around, and it's because of these long flowing corners. Then big traction zones as well. We've opened up that lovely, and that's why we're able to close in. Can he get back to the apex and get a drive here? This is where we've seen a lot of side to side, haven't we? But it favours the car in front because they can demand the line. This is that inter-Ferrari battle we were talking about. Green from Leclerc, from Kirchhoffer in the McLaren, and at the moment Green holding up the 2 cars behind, but doesn't look like Leclerc has enough pace to get past Ben Green.
No, it doesn't. He's been there or thereabouts for quite a number of laps. Ben Green clearly not leaving any gaps in his armour. 3 minutes remain. First to second now, 1.3 seconds, so another 1/10 of a second gained by our race leader. That's Jordan Pepper, so this is possibly going to be Lamborghini's first win on the visit so far here to Magny-Cours, right in the heart of France. But Sven Muller and Patrick Niederhauser, if it hadn't been for that slow pit stop, it could have been a very, very different story.
Yeah, just one more thing for Pepper to contend with is getting past the Qatari Audi on this lap. And one other thing to contend is the fireworks that are being let off on the last corner. SRO doing a great job with the fan activation here. Isn't just the racing, there's fireworks, there's a live DJ, there's go-karting, there's mini-golf. If you want a family day out, come to the racetrack.
Yeah, and loads of pit walks over the course of the weekend. Really good price tickets for the children. Just €10 to come, so much to see and do. But there have been real fireworks on the track. Rutronic Racing could have won this race with their brilliant, brilliant pit stops, but the sheer pace of the Lamborghini. Grasser Racing, they can brush up on their pit stops. They started from pole, the pit stop slower, dropped their car to second place. But Jordan Pepper, what a job he's done to get back in the lead race. And you could tell that Sven Muller knew it was coming. It was just a case of trying to abate that and keep him behind. But the South African, very, very wily indeed, and a real attacking driver. And he grabbed it with both hands.
Yeah, they've cleared that Audi. That's the 3rd car in shot, so they'll be happy as the smoke goes across the circuit, and won't be too much of a distraction for the drivers. Any Jamie Day fans out there, don't be worried if you're watching the live time. It looks like they've got a transponder issue, but they're still circulating okay, but that's having to be manually inputted by the timekeepers at the moment, so they're not getting any sector times.
Yeah, properly dark here at Magny-Cours now, and it's just coming up to 10:15 at night, but we're into the final minute or so of this race. And just going down through the classes, the gold class in 6th place is being led by Louis Pret, the silver class in 7th place by Jamie Day, and the bronze class, Basha Mardini, but he's only 1.6 seconds clear. We said the safety car period might have helped him, but suddenly Darren Lung's got his tail up in the Paradigm competition, BMW. Jake Dennis started way down in 27th position. He was the driver making the most ground in the early stage of the race, and can Durran, the fellow Brit, get the job done. Basha Mardini may be able to hang on.
Yeah, and we're seeing some more track limit penalties, and just saw it for the 93 car. there, and that car always seems to get a penalty, and they've always got such strong pace. They just need to race slightly cleaner, and they'd always be in a championship contender, I feel, that Ziggo Sport Tempesta car. There is Jamie Day, and not on the timing tower because of transponder issue. The leaders again getting past a laps car. That was the 270 car this time of Baptista getting out of the way well there, and the fireworks still going on at the last corner.
Super spectacular. The gap actually has been halved because a little bit of traffic was right across the nose of Jordan Pepper. He's coming around 8 seconds on the clock. I fear he's going to have to do a further lap because he can't afford to back off with the chasing Porsche tucked in behind. Bang, we get to the end of the hour, but I'm fairly sure this is now the final lap. There is the message from race control. Final lap of the race. Jordan Pepper's got to hang on. And as he sweeps through the Grand Curve, that's the first corner, no one immediately ahead. He turns into Estoril. Already the car in front of him has gone out of that corner. It's the number 74 Kessel Racing Ferrari. The car that we thought was going to start on pole had all its times taken away. Dustin Blattner will keep out of his way. In fact, he won't even catch Dustin before the end of this race. But the big question is, can Sven Muller do anything about it? But just the way his car has been handling, it doesn't seem though he's got any chance unless someone gives him a helping hand. But with no traffic around for Jordan Pepper, been there, seen it, done it, and he's heading off to victory surely for Grasser Racing now with their Lamborghini.
Yeah, Jordan Pepper could have told him to cancel the fireworks. He was going to deliver it himself, wasn't he? And the pace has been phenomenal. Fastest lap of the race, his theoretical lap, if you put all the sectors together, best. He's 4/10 quicker than anyone else on this 40-car field. So even with the 15 kilos extra after qualifying, this Lamborghini has had a great run. Like you said, Bruce, the only thing was the pit stop, and they will want to address that ahead of the race tomorrow. The team now going to the pit wall. They have only got half a lap remaining, and this will be our 7th winner of the year.
Well, Gottfried Graffer, we talked earlier about their last pole position being when Mirko Bortolotti drove for the team, and that was back in 2019. That was when they were winning many, many races, and the ebb and flow of the championship ever more advanced, ever more professional, and they've fought their way back to the front with Lamborghini. GT World Challenge Europe, so competitive. 40 cars here, but only 2 corners to go. 16 and 17, the checkered flag will be out, and it'll be victory in the first of the 2 races at Magny-Cours for Jordan Pepper and teammate. There he is, Franz Exler, very happy on the wall, and that is a job done beautifully for them. Of course, Luca Exler, Franz is the father, and tucked in behind, just 1.2 seconds down, is Muller in the Rutronic Racing Porsche. And a car pressing on to take the Gold Cup win is Louis Pret, just coming across the line in 6th place. And in behind him in 7th will be the Silver Cup winner of Jamie Day. And we're waiting to see who is going to be coming through in the bronze class lead. Is it going to be Basha Mardini, who's held on in the 89 Porsche, or will Darren Lung get past in his BMW, trying to pick them out in the light? When I say in the light, there is no light, it's the lights of the cars that we're looking at, but very, very close indeed. With 20, it's still Basha Mardini just in front. Saw the 27 on the windscreen of the BMW, and that's Darren Lung's car.
There's one more chance, so you get a good exit here, Darren Lung, and you've got a chance of getting down the inside on the brake zone. I don't think there's going to be any chance of that now. Mardini's done a mega job, got a good exit in the Porsche. Last chance, Darren Lung flushing the headlights. Mardini just needs to hook up this apex, and the bronze class win will be his. Great drive there from Mardini to hold on under big pressure.
Yeah, really did. He was sitting on a margin of about 6 seconds with traffic between, and then the traffic dissipated, and then on came Lung. But job done for Bastian Mardini and Lion Speed GP. They will be very, very pleased with that. What a race. We had so many fireworks in the sky at the end, but it was on the track at the start, and you have to feel sorry for Alessio Rivera. 3rd place going into the hairpin on the opening lap, spun around, and a few other drivers got caught out, but certainly for the first 2 cars, they already had made a little break. That gave them the advantage. The rest of the race, the story was about the 63 Lamborghini falling after a slow pit stop back to 2nd, and then the hunt. Jordan Pepper chasing, harrying Sven Muller. Nearly got by once, backed off, waited for his time, and got it done on a restart. Job done.
Yeah, as the drone risks it through the drone, through the firework there, and a lovely sunset as well. And we spoke about 7 different winners in 7 races. That's 6 different manufacturers as well within those 7. But this 63 car today, our Spa 24-hour winner obviously with Bortolotti joining Engstler and Jordan Pepper. So they've been strong this year, but sprint hasn't been going so well for them. But today, is this suddenly going to bring them back into the championship? They were 6th at the start of today and 6.5 points added on. They won't be near the lead, but they've definitely cut the deficit.
They certainly have, and don't forget they're also they started today 6th in the overall championship, the European Series. That should maybe move them up a place or two. In fact, it will move them ahead of Vincent Abril and Alessia Rivera, who came away with a fat 0. But really, right now, the fireworks for the Grasser Racing team. 63, started from pole by Luca Engstler, finished in expert style by Jordan Pepper. This is race 1 at Magny-Cours, and we're looking forward to tomorrow's encounter in full daylight, which will kick off the show at 2:30 in the afternoon. 3:05 will be the race start. But I think we're going to have some very, very happy people in Gottfried Grasser's camp. Because you know what? A win is fantastic. A win is even better if you really, really have to fight for it. It's the same in any sport.
Yeah, and that's why I like a sprint weekend, because we do all the same tomorrow. Qualifying in the morning at 10:30 local time, and then race 3:15 in the afternoon. Again, European Central Time there. So we get to do it all again.
It just feels so different. There's a driver who's not feeling unhappy, but like Jordan Pepper, what's he doing? He's trying to get back in the car. No, pose for the photographs. He'll be waiting for his teammate Luca. It was almost like he was waiting to be told he'd won the race. I think you knew that, Jordan. But let's just say that figure again. We've had 7 races, 7 different winners, 6 different manufacturers. Well, what a year we're having. 2025 in the GT World Challenge Europe, powered by AWS. And for Jordan Pepper, pulled in behind the main pit building where the podium is in the paddock. Again, a lot of interaction with the spectators. It's been really great. They've been there all weekend to cheer on the people. It's a real change from having him on a podium above the track. And for those that fought but didn't win, well, there may be a chance tomorrow. But for Jordan Pepper and the gang, that was an excellent run for them.
Yeah, live DJ in the background. There's Ortelli, his driver coach with the Monegasque, Louis Pret there. Seems pretty nonplussed, isn't he, about it? And it was just the pace of them. They finished 6th overall. They were well clear in the gold class. So he maybe will let himself smile once he realised what a good job that whole 58 crew did.
Yeah, they certainly did. Tom Fleming, great at the start of the race. Started 12th, up to 6th at the end. But it was almost like he too needed confirmation the job was done. But gold class victory for the Garage 59 McLaren, 6th place overall, as you pointed out. Still the fireworks go on. The podium ceremony will follow. 4 classes, of course. We've got pro, we've got gold, we've got silver, we've got bronze. But we've got some pretty happy people down there, because that was a tough one.
Yeah, it really was, especially with the long full course yellow in the middle of it. There was some contact, wasn't there? We lost 4 cars, which 10% of the field, but when there's 40 cars on a narrow circuit, there's always going to be contact. And those fans there, there's no special passes needed here. As long as you got your entry ticket, you could be stood next to that race-winning Grasser GT3 Lamborghini. And it isn't just looking at it, the smells, the heat coming off the car. It's an amazing experience if you can ever get to a live GT3 race.
Well, let's go down and hear the thoughts of our race winner, Jordan Pepper.
GT World Challenge powered by AWS, brought home by Jordan Pepper. What an incredible stint that was after what was really quite a tricky pit stop. You battled so hard. That overtake was insane.
Yeah, I mean, it was an unfortunate issue with the left front, but things happen. We knew we had a strong car at the early stages, so I tried to capitalize on the outlap with Sven. We had a bit of touching and he pushed me off a bit, but it's racing, and I knew if I could get another opportunity, I was going to grab it with both hands, and that restart was perfect for that. So caught him out on cold tires, was, yeah, awesome overtake, risked everything for it, and then pushed to the end. Obviously, extremely nervous race because I've lost a teammate in the process. So yeah, but it was cool. Just proud of everyone. We have had a tough sprint season, and to get this win is super special.
Yeah, first Grasser sprint win in 6 years, first Lambo win here at Magny-Cours. You boys are doing very well. So turning into what is looking like a very strong season.
Yeah, I mean, we've obviously had a few non-scoring points here in such a short championship, so it's going to be tricky to try claw back all the way, but there's obviously a lot to play for with the overall that's included with the sprint, and we give it our all to the end in Valencia for sure.
Good job. Enjoy your podium, and hopefully you'll find your teammate.
All right.
Good to see the applause from rivals as well, Shelby. It's ever the gentleman in there. But Jordan Pepper, victory today with Luca Engstler, who started from pole. Great race for them, but we just found out why there was a longer pit stop. Problem with the front left. How frustrating. But anyhow, that's an easier thing to sort out. But let's go down and hear from our gold winners. And Louis Pret was the driver who should now be smiling.
Tom, Louis, firstly, my goodness me, this season, your level of consistency is unmatched.
Honestly, it's been a mega weekend. The second half of the season so far has been really good for us, for the team, but as well for our car. So I'm very happy. This guy made an incredible job at the beginning. At the beginning again, I just had to bring it back home. Just after the full course yellow, I couldn't get back the tires in the right temp, but I think we're in a good spot for tomorrow again.
Yeah, Tom, that first stint was absolutely brilliant. Good to see you back behind the wheel again.
Yeah, no, it seems every weekend I'm out in a car at the moment, but no, I really enjoyed driving this McLaren. Start was a little bit hectic, as I'm sure everyone saw, dusk being kicked up just like it was in Misano, but yeah, we just kept our heads cool, picked them off one by one when we had the opportunity to do so, and then passed it over to Louis, and he just did an amazing job. Brought it home in P6 and P1 in gold class, so you can't ask for too much more.
Good job, boys. Well done.
Thank you.
Well, very neat and tidy from the pair of them, but just to gain 6 places in a race and stay clear of your class rivals. But certainly on the opening lap, the Garage 59 McLarens, they were both absolutely mighty.
Yeah, Fleming managed by Matt Griffin, who used to be a mighty starter in this series as well.
Well, let's go down and join our silver winners. It's a crew from Come To You Racing.
Jamie, Kobe, that was an aggressive win. Well done.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, it was really good. Honestly, I give it all to Kobe. Kobe's opening stint was mega, got up to 5th overall and then had a clean pit stop, and then from there on just kept it calm, kept the pace at where I wanted it to be, and yeah, it was a clean win in the end.
Kobe, so this is turning into a rather nice year for you.
Yeah, for sure. You know, we had a good quality, P2 in class, and I think was P8 overall. And after the opening lap was P5 and leading class. So from then on was just trying to manage the gap, make sure to do no track limits, give over the car to Jamie, who finished off with a perfect stint. So yeah, super happy, good points. Still a race to do tomorrow, but we're gonna give it all.
Yet again, good job.
So happy faces down there looking through the class, and the Silver Cup victory there reiterated. Kobe Powers and Jamie Day nailing it. 7th place overall in the Come To You Racing Aston Martin. Super slow-mo shots there. The job is done, or the first half of the job is done in the Silver Cup class, and for everyone else, we're back for qualifying tomorrow morning. And then in the early afternoon, we'll do the second race here at Magny-Cours, be race 8 out of this 10-race Sprint Cup series. Podium awaits for those in the full darkness here at Magny-Cours. It's been an absolute cracker of a race, and the fireworks added to what we saw down the track from the very start of the race right through to the finish. Racing action was absolutely furious, and some brilliant overtaking manoeuvres in among the action here at Magny-Cours. It's a great circuit, it can produce brilliant racing, and tonight, the first of the 2 races at Magny-Cours, it did precisely that. So very much enjoyed that. My name's Bruce Jones alongside Joe Osborne. We're just looking forward to tomorrow's race already.
Yeah, and hard to call, and we've had 7 different winners. Can I be greedy and ask for 8 tomorrow?
Go for it, Joe. Let's wait and find out and see what happens. But it's been a great show. And again, it's always difficult when you start in fading light. But let's go down towards the podium. It's all about to kick off.
Sur la 3e marche du podium, on the 3rd step of the overall podium. Pour le team WRT, team WRT, Charles Wirtz and Kelvin van der Linde. On peut les applaudir. 2e position pour une partie de l'équipage qui avait terminé 2e des CrowdStrike 24 Hours of Spa. Rutronic Racing, Sven Müller and Patrick Niederhauser, 2nd tonight. Avant d'appeler l'équipage vainqueur, before we call the winning drivers, we'll call the team winning tonight. GRT Grasser Racing Team winner of this first race here in Magny-Cours. Team win for Grasser. Please jump on the podium. GRT Grasser Racing Team, winning team tonight. And the winners is the first ever win of Lamborghini here in Magny-Cours. It's their first ever win in the Sprint Cup here. Luca Hengsler and Jordan Pepper. Ce sont les vainqueurs des CrowdStrike 24 Hours of Spa, des 24 heures de Spa, CrowdStrike 24 heures de Spa, qui montent sur la première marche de ce podium pour la première fois de leur carrière en Sprint Cup. Lamborghini qui ne l'avait pas emporté en Sprint Cup depuis 2021. Et nous sommes prêts pour écouter l'hymne autrichien, the Austrian anthem, please. Et je vais demander à Matteo Braga, Circuit Activity Manager de Pirelli. Matteo Braga qui va remettre les trophées de la 3e position au team WRT représenté par Charles Wirtz et Kelvin van der Linde, 3e ce soir de cette première course du GT World Challenge Europe powered by AWS. Ici en version Sprint Cup à Magny-Cours, 2e position pour le Rutronic Racing, emmené par Sven Muller et Patrick Niederhauser, et un tonnerre d'applaudissements pour le GRT Grasser Racing Team qui l'emporte avec son équipage composé de Jordan Pepper et Lucas Engstler qui, après la victoire au CrowdStrike 24 heures de Spa il y a quelques semaines, enchaîne avec un premier succès dans cette Sprint Cup. And now it's time for champagne.
Well, it is time for the champagne. Fantastic podium there, and most of our top crews finished in the top few positions, so no championship be sorted here this weekend. It will all go to Valencia, but I mean, we're talking teams gaining half a point here, a point there, and the ones that really lost out with the winners of the second race at Misano, the number 59 McLaren crew, only down in 10th place, but good news there for Jordan Pepper and the gang getting a win, but really it's the crews in second and third places. The Rutronic Porsche crew in second place, Sven Muller, Patrick Niederhauser right at the sharp end, but Kelvin van der Linde and Charles Wirtz, third tonight, started 10th. That was a really strong effort from them from TWRT, and that could be one of the races that may count towards a title for them, but we're not getting ahead of ourselves. Look, we've had 7 races, 7 different winners, 1 slip here, as you can see. Poor Alessio Rivera, AF Corsa Ferrari, third into the hairpin on the opening lap at Adelaide and spun out of the race, and then eventually retired with damage. But let's go back down and join our bronze winners, Bastian and Bastian Boos.
Bastian, my goodness me, what an incredible race that was. You guys are on form this year.
Yeah, it was really good. A bit of a chaotic start, but I gained a few positions, quickly improved up to P1 in the class, and yeah, extended the lead, gave the car to Bash in the pit stop, and from there on he kept it all the way to the end. So yeah, after the lap 1K, it was quite smooth for us.
Like a nice stint for you.
I'm sorry? It was very tricky with the limited visibility, but you know, didn't make any mistakes, kept it together. The team told me on the radio who was behind me. When they told me that it was the 991 behind me, I said, okay, you got to drive a little faster now. And so, but you know, the position that Bastian gave me the car, I needed to just do enough. I didn't need to do any heroics. I just needed to bring it home, make no mistakes, and the car was great, and it was a good race.
Congratulations, enjoy your podium.
Oh, very well done for them there, Basha Mardini and Bastian Boos. I would reckon are now in the lead of the bronze class because the Kessel Racing Ferrari crew didn't get any meaningful points after really being at the tail of the field. So by half a second, they took that bronze class win, and we greatly enjoyed. And here come the gold podium. So Louis Pret and behind him Tom Fleming coming to take the top step. Second in class, Gilles Magnus, car number 25, which is the Sandslot Racing Audi shares with Paul Everard, and third in the Gold Cup class. Al Faisal Al Zubair, car number 777 with Jens Klingman. So as the strains the British national anthem for the winning team in the Gold Cup class, Garage 59 with their McLaren fades away. It's a chance for the presentations for the crews. It's been hard fought, Joe, tonight, but I think the point there from Basha Mardini, the light was really falling very fast at the end of that race. He was coming under a lot of pressure in the bronze class, but in the Gold Cup, there was really nobody near the Louis Pret. Tom Fleming, McLaren, 6th place overall, and looked very comfortable.
Yeah, we saw how close the battle was between the Audi and the BMW. They obviously changed position on the last couple of laps. 6 different nationalities on the Gold Class podium there. French, Belgium, British, Monegasque, Omani and German, and an Italian in Matteo Braga there from Pirelli handing out the trophy.
7 from 7, that seems to be the story of the night, doesn't it? 7 different manufacturers now on the top class, but for the Gold Class, it's certainly looking very neat and tidy now for Louis Pret. That's 2 class wins in the last 3 races for him. He won the opening race with Tom Fleming at Misano very recently. Time for the spray. This is a great podium. Just behind the main pit building, and people can get in close. And it is a chance, because this meeting is all about getting the fans to see the crews, to smell the cars, to see the drivers, see their joy as well, maybe their despondency too, but when you're seeing people on the podium, they're normally more filled with joy than the latter. But for Garage 59, the McLaren crew, victory in the Gold Cup class, hard fought, but they were well clear, and they were really starting to trouble the front runners. So let's take a look at the overall results, and it's Luca Engstler who started from pole position, and Jordan Pepper who put them back into the lead after that slow pit stop, knocked them back to second. Patrick Niederhauser and latterly Sven Muller got very close indeed, but just couldn't get to the front in their Rutronic Porsche. Third place, Charles Weerts and Kelvin van der Linde. Championships are won by scoring consistently, and that is what the Belgian South African crew are doing for Team WRT with their BMW. And in behind, Luca Auer and Maro Engel in their Mercedes, and another Mercedes, the VDS car of Lucas Stoltz and Maxime Martin. 5th place overall, top Gold Class car in 6th, and we've just seen their podium. And working our way through the podium ceremonies under cover of darkness here at Magny-Cours as the drivers are called out. And this is the silver class podium. This is car number 10, Aurelien Panis and Cesar Gazzo. Going up onto the podium, 2nd place in the silver class are Jeff Meshiels, but the top step will go to Kobe Powles and Jamie Day. So Jeff Meshiels on the left side of the podium for 2nd place, with Marcus Siebert, who started way up at the front of the field. But onto the top step, the Aston Martin crew, 7th overall, Kobe Powles and Jamie Day. Jamie, busy driver right now, was winning the GT World Challenge Australia last weekend down in Sandown. But here, under cover of darkness, another class win. So the crew's getting up close to take a look as Matteo Braga back on the podium, busy man. Circuit activity manager for Pirelli presenting the trophy. So 3rd place, the Boots and VDS pairing in their Mercedes, car number 10, Aurelien Panis and Cesar Gazzo. 2nd place, Marcus Siebert and Jeff Meshiels. AF Corsa Ferrari, smiles all round. And on the top step, Jamie Day and Kobe Powles nodding away to their friends and family and crew down below, waiting for their winners' trophies in the Silver Cup class here at Magny-Cours. Race 1 of 2, and they look pretty happy.
Good win as well for Aston Martin. They haven't had the strongest year, Aston Martin. The 4 classes today, 4 different manufacturers represented on that top step. Lamborghini in the Pro and the McLaren in the gold. Aston Martin in the silver class, and then the Porsche in bronze as well. So the BOP working very, very well again.
Certainly doing so. So time for a bit of spray. The fans never mind a bit of spray coming their way. Still one podium ceremony to follow, which is the Bronze Cup class. But I've just been looking at the timing screens. Incident between car 991, that's Darren Lung's BMW that finished second in class, under investigation for that clash that we saw of the number 112 CSA Racing McLaren going into the wall on the exit of 180 degree. We have no idea what decision's being made, but it is under investigation, but it's being done after the race. Clearly that was relatively close to the end of the race, but we will have that bronze podium coming up soon. But there seems to be no debate about Basha Mardini and Bastian Buus taking the victory. We heard from them. They were certainly very happy indeed after the race for Lion Speed with their Porsche.
Yeah, like you said, Jamie Day, very busy at the moment in that silver class.
Right, let's look at the points. It's Ivan Klemenko, Lawrence Lesauture running in fourth place, but first it's Jamie Day, Kobe Powell, second Alex Arca and Ezekiel Perez-Compake taken out on the opening lap of the race. We saw them being pushed, but Cesar Gazzo and Aurelian Panis, their position is augmenting their place in the championship. Look, half a point covering the top three people, and the crew in fourth place, Klemenko and Lesauture, just 1.5, 2 points down at the end. How close could you possibly get it? So that's going to be absolutely fearsome tomorrow. Of course, we haven't defined the grid for tomorrow's race yet.
Now we've only got 3 races left of the season, 1 tomorrow and 2 in Valencia. A position on track will be a position in the championship when it's that tight.
It certainly will. So the crew coming out into third position at the moment, Dimitri Gavatsava and Loris Spinelli. Darren Lung with the beard and Jake Dennis, who started down at the back but gained positions hand over fist into second place. But we're waiting for the bronze class winners, Basha Mardini and Bastian Buus. Looks though Bastian's going to be first the Lion Speed Porsche drivers up onto the podium. That was tight at the end, as we said, just half a second over the BMW crew from Paradigm of Darren Lung, who was giving the chase and didn't quite pull it off at the end of the race.
Matteo Braga à l'œuvre, une fois encore le circuit active.
So the national anthems ring out and the podium ceremony comes to the point of trophies. Loris Spinelli, Dimitri Gavatsava, third place in the Imperial Lamborghini. I think that's got a bit more pace to come. That started right at the tail of the field. Remember, we saw poor Loris Spinelli being blocked in qualifying, and he could have been higher up the grid. Ifs, buts and maybes. They raced well, but not as well as the 2 crews ahead. But particularly Basha Mardini in the fading light. In fact, it was near full darkness when he was trying to hold off Darren Lung, trying to work out where the headlines were. But what that has done is put them into the lead of the class. 55, they're 5 points clear of Dennis Marshall and Dustin Blattner, who led the class. Awful qualifying. Dennis Marshall didn't get a time in because he exceeded track limits, started at the back of the field, and it's cost him the bronze class lead. We know there's pace in that Kessel Ferrari, but they've got to make it stick for them tomorrow. But right now, Basha Mardini and Bastian Buus leading the class, top step of the podium. They will very much have enjoyed Saturday here at Magny-Cours.
Yeah, just looking at the body language of Dan Lung, try and see if he was sort of negative about it. Did he think he was guilty? You would say not. And after a very candid interview, he manages to save that, I hope, on the side of the podium.
Well, I tell you what, we talk about the podium. Let's go back and take a look at the highlights. It was daylight, but only just when we started the race. And Luca Engstler starting from pole position in his Lamborghini. Look for the battle for 6th place, and the yellow Lucas Auer-driven Mercedes for Winward Racing right at the sharp point of the championship. Lost about 3 or 4 positions. And then up to Adelaide Hairpin, riding in the 3rd place, Alessio Rivera-driven Ferrari. And he was spun around, there was contact, and then a lap later, even more contact with the Ford of Roman Andriolo, really causing a little bit of a kerfuffle up there. Then it came to the time of the pit stops. Butronic Racing, you said they'd be good in the pit stops. They most certainly were. There was a front left problem for the Lamborghini. It cost it the lead, but as soon as Jordan Pepper got out on the track, he was all over Sven Muller. This looked as though it was going to be the moment where he'd take the lead. Look, he needed about another 20, 30 centimetres. He could have put across the nose into the Imola chicane. He didn't. He backed it off. He ran over the curbing and he dropped back in behind. He would live to fight another day, but it was a question of when he was going to be able to make the move. And certainly there was a lot of action, and it was there were periods where we had full course yellow, and this was the moment that Darren Lung got in with Isaac Tutumlu's CSA McLaren and put it off. So that's under investigation. This is the lead battle. This is the moment it all changed. The Lion Speed GP car, Gabriel Rindon couldn't get out of the way on a restart. And quite simply, Jordan Pepper got the job done, and thereafter really struggling to turn into the corners. Sven Muller had no answers. It went out to 1 and a bit seconds at the end of the race. It was 1 and a bit seconds between the pair. There hadn't been a Lamborghini win here before. There hadn't been 7 wins out of 7 races in the season before, but we got to that, and victory here in the first of 2 races at Magny-Cours went to Luca Engstler, who started from pole, and Jordan Pepper, who pulled it off. But do come and join us tomorrow, qualifying 10:30 in the morning, and the race will be kicking off just after 3. That's it from us. Good night.